Oh, well, everybody know who I want next. I want Terrence Crawford next.
You're going to make that happen?
Huh?
You're going to make that happen?
Oh, definitely. That's the fight that I want. That's the fight everybody else want. Like I said, I'm going to get these straps that I'm going to go over there and take his shit too.
All right. Errol, congratulations. Terrific fight this evening.
Thank you, man. Down. Strap season. Y'all know what time it is, baby. Terrence, I'm coming for that motherfucking belt.
All right.
I'm not catching fades anymore. Gotta keep my hands clean when they come for the board. Keep it smooth like a dawn, making moves in the dark. Cause I learned how to swim in the pool full of sharks. Now they coaches, cause they can't read all his motions. How the kid never switch codes, but he code switch focus. Staring down your team with a frozen ice cold look that could end the summer solstice. Cause I'm more like the top dog. Keep on running game and the gang will accost y'all. I be calling plays from a plane while I'm off court. But we ain't the same, you a lame, I'm a mob star. Actually, I'm a top dog on a stat sheet. Off court, but I call plays for the athletes. Laughing when the cop cars try to catch me. Cause I rolled off in a taxi. Put my feet up, I'm relaxing. Singing Figaro with no accent. While I pull strings from the streets in. Do it all with a straight face, I'm the kingpin. Top dog, top flow, boss mode. I'm the kingpin. Showstopper, top dog, God vibe, I'm the kingpin. They know I'm a dog and a beast, man. Yeah, I keep the peace with a peace, man. I ain't got no time for appeasement. Why would I respond to a pawn? I'm the... Hold up.
If I let my dogs off the leash, then you might want to get out of Dodge by the evening. Honestly, think it's not the blood and the beef, and they don't leave anything behind at the evening.
I can see you soft, ever thought about retreating. If you never have, then they'll give you a reason. Better watch your tone, lose your bass when you speaking. Underneath the mask is the wrath of a... When you learn how to smile in their face, then go cutthroat. Then they want to call you a con when the blood cold. I remember starving while y'all had a truckload. Now I'm with the mob, with the call and the gusto. I'm a top dog on a stat sheet. Off court, but I call plays for the athletes. Laughing when the cop cars try to catch me. Cause I rolled off in a taxi. Put my feet up, I'm relaxing. Singing Figaro with no accent. While I pull strings from the streets in. Do it all with a straight face, I'm the kingpin. Top dog, top flow, boss mode. I'm the kingpin. Showstopper, top dog, God vibe. I'm the kingpin.
What's going on, everybody? What's happening, man? It's been an interesting day, man. It is so many Canelo fans, man. They are in a funk today. They do not they are not riding with what's going on, bro. They just refuse to believe what has happened to Canelo. They cannot believe that Canelo lost this fight, man. They are crashing out. And if you go to some of the big Spanish channels, you know what I'm saying? Man, people are crashing out. I mean, you heard a little bit. I heard a little bit on the boxing voice, but I can't stand to see Nets. I just have to get the hell up off there because he just sickens me, right? But man, I was going to like channels like BDA and just listening in to people call in, man, and they were just going so far out the way to nitpick, you know what I'm saying, what happened to Canelo. And it's like, you know what I'm saying, just because, you believe that Canelo was just going to dominate Bud Crawford, you know what I'm saying, it's like they should have known it was a possibility that this man was a great athlete, that he could go in there and outbox Canelo. And he prepared for the man for a whole year. But they over there nitpicking, you know what I'm saying? They're saying, stuff like, Canelo is old now, you know what I'm saying? They're saying like, Bud Crawford ran the whole time, you know what I'm saying? They're saying that, that he didn't stand his ground and just like whatever that, say anything to down Bud Crawford, what he did in the fight, they're trying to, downplay it. You know what I'm saying? I heard all the callers, what I'm saying, they were just making any little nitpick thing they could say, they were saying like how they said, I didn't see Bud Crawford dominate Canelo. I didn't see him dominate Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might have got some punches in, but he didn't dominate. I thought Canelo outscored, you know what I'm saying, outpointed Crawford and all this kind of weird delusional shit. Can you guys hear me? You know what I'm saying? Can you guys hear me? All this weird kind of alternate reality type of thing that was going on. And I was just like, what the hell? It's like, they had a few callers come on, and they were just like real, and they just got snuffed out by, saying the guys that wanted to stay in their own little echo chamber, and just, protect Canelo at all costs. But you can't protect the man because his belts are gone. Now, I saw Crawford give Canelo his belts back. Um, you know. But I mean, he's still the undisputed champion at 168. You know what I'm saying? They're just gonna mill him some more, right? Um, it's just kind of crazy how, boxing fans can love a fighter so goddamn much, what I'm saying, that they're willing to, distort reality, what I'm saying, to make up a la la land type of existence. You know what I'm saying? And it's like go into that existence like it's real, as long as they don't admit, it's almost like if they don't admit it, then it's not real. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, this is how we do now in sports. If you just don't like what happened, just just go off in the la la land, you know what I'm saying, and say the shit didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Just say that Bud Crawford, you know what I'm saying, did not outbox Canelo Alvarez, and we saw the shit. I mean, really, it was worse than they thought. People are over there saying like, um, Crawford didn't win, saying the majority of the rounds. And for what I saw, I would give Canelo maybe, it would be generous to give him 3 rounds. It would be generous. A lot of people, I don't know what they were looking at. And y'all know I am not a Bud Crawford fan. Y'all already know that. But you can't be biased of what you see, right? Because that's where the credibility lies. You just can't stop lying about what you see. Bud Crawford hand speed in that fight was ridiculous, bro. Everybody was saying he was slow at 154. He had trouble with Madrinov, and people was talking a lot of shit. They were saying like, how the hell is he gonna beat Canelo? You know what I'm saying, if he can't beat Madrinov? Well, people didn't ask this question. People didn't ask this question. Maybe Maginov is a little bit better than Canelo, you know, at this stage right now. Canelo is an older fighter. Yeah, he got tricks, but he can't do the shit that he used to do 8 years ago. Maginov is a smaller weight class, so he could do things still, and he's still in his youth, or he's more youthful than Canelo. As far as the wear and tear, right? So he can still do things. You know what I'm saying? Canelo can't do that shit no more. He used to do against Sugar Shane Mosley. He can't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? So he's an older guy now, and he's got a lot of wear and tear on him. But what I'm saying, he still was beating everybody, right? He was beating Caleb Plant. He was beating McGill. Nobody said nothing about his age then, right? He was just outclassing folks, right? That's what he was doing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't have to like a fighter to be fair about what you see in the ring. And now, if you see it, if that's the way you saw that Canelo was leading. I don't know how. That's bullshit. That's bullshit because Crawford did not let Canelo get off on him. And when he did engage, he made sure that he outworked Canelo. That's how he was working in the fight. In the fight, he was making sure that he countered the counter, right? And then he'll get a couple of extra points in. So he was making sure he stayed ahead of Canelo, even though he knew that if Canelo get too many good hits, that he would get the benefit of the doubt. So he had to start separating himself around the 6th round, right? That's when you start seeing Crawford, what I'm saying, coming in a little bit and showing that hand speed, that blistering hand speed, and Canelo couldn't deal with them counters. Them counters was just too fast, what I'm saying, and Bud was strong. at the same time, I think that shocks people at how strong that guy is. But if you think about it, if you're a pure, see, when fighters get money, when fighters start to get a little fame, they get out of the gym. They get away from the craft of it. They forget how competitive that their counterparts are, right? You got to keep that edge. That other guy's coming to get you. So he wants to be stronger than you. He wants to be faster than you. He's studying you, right? And these guys, once they get up there with the money, they thinking that the same shit they've been doing for years and years is going to work on a guy that's been studying your every move. Crawford had a block for them body shots. He had a block for every, situation that Canelo was throwing at him. He had a technique. You know what I'm saying? He's prepared for Canelo, and that should have told the Canelo camp something that we're gonna have to come a little bit different. You know, Canelo does the same shit over and over. I've said it in the broadcast. Yeah, yeah, autism boy. He does the same shit over and over. So I mean, if you're going in there, and I said that many times in other broadcasts, how the hell do they let Canelo beat them? He does the same shit over and over again. If you are a boxing coach, you know what I'm saying, and you see somebody, come in, all they do is press you, you know what I'm saying, and all they do is try to hit you with power shots. You need to come up with a plan to nullify body shots and pressure. And in boxing, that's all you do is the jab. A simple, a simple freaking jab, in Canelo face as he was throwing his power shots, threw him off. And this has been said over and over again because we're boxing nerds, right? You know, a simple jab, and they say the jab is the key to everything. It's fundamental, right? And all Bud did was pump the jab in his face. Now he did a little bit more than that because once he saw that Canelo was winded, he started going inside, and he wouldn't stay in there too long, but he would exchange with Canelo to get his respect, so he wouldn't get walked through, right? And I don't even think he could have walked through Bud Crawford's punches, because he punched in bunches, right? And Bud timing was another thing. Beautiful timing, execution. Anytime Canelo would try to, get a beat on, he'll move a little bit. And then Canelo have to adjust. Every now and then Canelo would try to throw off a right hook and try to time Crawford and end up landing, what I'm saying, on his arm or landing, what I'm saying, on his elbow, what I'm saying. He just couldn't get a bead on Crawford because he don't have the legs no more. He don't have the explosiveness no more. You know what I'm saying? But the other guys that he fought, the Callum Smiths, what I'm saying, the what's his name, Belangas, the McGears, what I'm saying, they tried to confront him straight up and going back, putting their backs to the ropes and not having an escape plan, letting Canelo beat on them. And I used to scream during live streams, why are they back into the ropes, allowing Canelo to beat on them? Why are they not sliding? It's almost like they forget how to box. I was looking at Jamil, putting his back against the ropes. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what is he doing? Why isn't he slide out there? Let him go ahead and throw that looping shot. You should be blocking that shot, bro. Crawford wasn't afraid to block that shot, or was he afraid to take, the punches that he had to take? Because he knew that opened up Canelo. If he throws a shot, when you throw your shot, that means your guard is open. And that's what Crawford did. He posted him. It was a cool ass move that Crawford did on the inside. He posted him up with the elbow and waited for him to throw a shot, and then he just unleashed a flurry of combinations on the inside. Canelo just couldn't handle that speed, man. And then Crawford was strong at the same time, so he couldn't really push him back when Crawford stood his ground like that. Of course, Crawford wasn't going to stay there. He wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? But he was being smart. He was boxing. You know what I'm saying? But even when you box, you got to stand your ground to make your opponent respect what's coming back. Right? And I seen Canelo get the Bambi legs. You know what I'm saying? Crawford is dangerous on that pivot. You know what I'm saying? When he's trying to go around you, you got to look out, man, for them body shots, bro. Crawford will slip that shit in so sweet, and he'll get something up top on you. So he's a very, very cunning boxer. And I don't know what the hell Canelo. I don't know. I don't know if it was arrogance. It was the rich man arrogance or what it was. But Eddie Reynoso didn't do no kind of study. He didn't prepare for Crawford. And sometimes I don't know if you can prepare for athletic gifts. Sometimes could you prepare for Mayweather, somebody who can make adjustments in the ring, see what you're doing, and just uh, nullify that? You know what I'm saying? Just from imagination, from what they need to do, just instinctively. Buzz have great instincts, right? That's what makes him one of the great ones. He got great instinct. Um, you have to give it to him, and he stayed close to the craft. Now, any fighter that does that, anytime a fighter was like going through people and knocking them out, Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, anybody, Terry Norris, pick one, Julian Jackson. Anytime they stayed in the gym, they were the best. They were the best. But the moment they start, you know, enjoying life, you know, getting married, look at Ramirez, you know what I'm saying? Ramirez getting married, start enjoying the fruits of life. That's when they start going down, you know. And I'm not saying that fighters should not enjoy the fruits of their labor, but what I'm saying is the further you get away from your craft, that's that's when you start to decline. When you start playing golf like Canelo, when you start dancing and shaking your ass and having a good time. No, this thing is highly competitive in the professional ranks. You got to stay close to the grind. What I'm saying? If you don't do that, then you're gonna get your ass beat. What I'm saying? Because there are a lot of fighters like Jerron Boots Ennis coming up. A lot of people are already jumping on the hate train for Jerron Boots Ennis, and he haven't even gotten out there yet. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. He's one of those guys who's very athletic. What I'm saying? He's very smart, but he still got a lot to learn. What I'm saying? He still got a lot to learn. Nobody's saying he's the second coming of Christ. Nobody's saying Jerron Boots Ennis is the second coming of Christ. But you could see he passes the eye test. Jerron Boots Ennis is not Mayweather. Bud Crawford is not Mayweather. What I'm saying? But they all in their own right, what I'm saying, have something special, something unique. Because we don't see too many fighters that are gonna stand the test of time, you know. So, I don't understand what's going on with boxing today, why people can't just accept what they see in the ring. And what we saw this weekend was something special. We saw something special, man. I saw it with my own eyes. I was like, this man is breaking Canelo down, you know. Um, Canelo, he was just so comfortable and he was just so confident that he was going to be able to knock Terrence Crawford, out, through the body. What I'm saying? He could barely touch Crawford. What I'm saying? Crawford them said that 74-inch reach came into play. What I'm saying? Knowing his range, what I'm saying? Knowing where he was at in the ring, turning his back to the center ring, man, everything just went. Even when he grabbed Canelo and Canelo they grabbed and he was able to throw Canelo on the ropes. That's when Canelo knew this dude was strong, man. That he wasn't gonna be able to bully him. And there's something about that because I seen it with Mike Tyson. When he wasn't able to scare people when he stared them in the eyes and stuff. It was gonna be a fight. You know what I'm saying? It was going to be a good fight if people could get by Tyson, um, um, his reputation, get by those staring eyes, those glaring eyes and stuff. It was going to be a hell of a fight. Buster Douglas. You know what I'm saying? He went out there. He didn't give a damn. He threw caution to the wind. So when you stand up for yourself, you know, against these fighters, they want an easy fight. Canelo wants you to be on your back foot, and he only attacks like when you pull away. You know, if you notice, like when you confront Canelo head to head, he takes his time. He don't just rush in there. You know what I'm saying? Start throwing hands. No, he takes his time to see if he can, say get you to go back. You know what I'm saying? But if you stay your ground, he's like, oh boy, say what the hell we got going on here? But Canelo acts like, saying he wants to throw on the inside. That's bullshit. He really don't want to fight. He just want to intimidate you. You know what I'm saying? But then, once somebody got a good people said Bud didn't have a good inside game. What you think now? What do you think now? You know what I'm saying? What do you think now about his inside game? We saw a little bit with it with Errol Spence Jr. My boy, Errol Spence Jr. You saw the inside. You know what I'm saying? But now you saw it with Canelo. He was killing Canelo on the inside. Canelo was trying to intimidate him, trying to bust him down and stuff, but his hands were too slow. You know what I'm saying? The angles that Crawford was giving Canelo was crazy. He had crazy angles, you know what I'm saying, on the inside. And the hands was just too quick. The speed, you know what I'm saying, the precision, the timing. He'll let Canelo get off and he'll throw two or three shots against the Canelo head. And Canelo had to recover, you know what I'm saying, because Crawford got some pop. Crawford got some pop. He couldn't just keep eating that shit. You saw what Canelo face looked like by the seventh round. He didn't look too good. He had them Bambi legs a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? So Bud got some serious he got some serious pop, man, and snap. You have to respect that shit, you know. Yeah, what's going on, smooth Shafo? What's going on? What's going on, light skin business? Autism boy. What's going on, my brother? You know what I'm saying? Ronald Goodwin, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? M Banks, what's going on? Unfiltered. You know what I'm saying? What's happening, bro? Did I put the link in? Yeah. Okay, let me see anybody else come in. Okay, yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm listening to BDA, who's a big hater. BDA, this is like a Spanish content creator. And he's always hating on PBC, he's always hating on black fighters, always bigging up, what I'm saying, his folk, right? And I'm just like, bro, what I'm saying? They got this whole propaganda going on, about Canelo and what was wrong with him and why Crawford could win. I'm just like, bro, y'all wasn't saying none of this shit. I was watching his videos where they were saying, well, Crawford gets hit too much. He get hit with the straight right. Well, he did. He got hit with the straight right in this fight. Canelo busted him dead in his damn face, and everybody was like looking to see how Crawford was going to react. He took it well. You know what I'm saying? He took it straight in the face, just like he did with Madronov, and nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? And and that's why I kept bringing up the hypothetical, right? What if Bud Crawford could take his punch? What if Bud Crawford could stay in the pocket and go back and forth with Canelo? You know what I'm saying? Don't be closed-minded. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody just thought it was just impossible. Like Canelo is this incredible Hulk type strength type character, right? Just juggernaut. I was like, no, Canelo ain't like that, bro. He got some pop on his punches, but you know, you know what I'm saying? He ain't that, right? He ain't that. Him and Triple G went back and forth. Even Triple G, he hit hard, but Triple G ain't that. You know what I'm saying? And Bud Crawford, thank God that he had the confidence in himself, because a lot of black people just didn't have the confidence in him. You know what I'm saying? Or thinking that he had the enough power, you know what I'm saying, to get Canelo respect. And you can see from the beginning, you know what I'm saying, that Canelo respected Crawford. I don't know why he got so much respect now, but I do believe he understand that this man had supreme confidence in himself. And I think he felt that. I think you know how it is when somebody like want to get into it with you. You know if they got confidence or not, right? You know if they got the ability to jump across that, come out that chair and like really swing on you. And I think he felt that swing energy, you know what I'm saying, coming from Crawford during those press conferences. Every time they faced off, you know what I'm saying, he knew Crawford was serious. He knew it was a serious situation. Now he's fighting somebody who really wanted to do him some damage, right? It's different than them other guys. They were just so happy to be in the building, you know what I'm saying, making the big money. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, hey, I'm going to give you the courtesy of not really trying to win this fight, since you gave me this opportunity. Yeah. Well, I believe he is overrated, but I do think he's a good fighter. I do think he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I just think he cut corners. I just think he cut corners. I got full videos of going in on Canelo Alvarez, right? Because the way he took over boxing and the way he took advantage of it is disgusting, right? It's disgusting the way he did it, man. And then he did it too soon. You know what I'm saying? He's not like a pretty boy Floyd. He never had no pretty boy Floyd period where he dominated, what I'm saying, his rivals, right? He went straight into his money Mayweather side. There was money making Canelo. They went soon as he, had a couple of fights that he got by, it's like all of a sudden he got network deals, right? And that's the problem people have with these guys skipping divisions, skipping, what I'm saying, fights, skipping the best guys. It's like, why are people not holding Canelo to that? You know what I'm saying? Just because he got a good image, just because he got red hair and he looks like a Irish Mexican, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just because he got a good image or whatever, you still got to hold him to the test. Now, I do know there's a lot of Mexicans and a lot of greats that don't look at Canelo like he's great just because of what I'm talking about. But I do know that boxing is changing and people are like Keith Thurman and people like Canelo, and Bud Crawford himself, you know what I'm saying? They're not fighting through the divisions anymore. And that's the problem that I have with this sport. People are not fighting, they feel like they don't have to do it, If they could find a way to skip, fight one person in each division, you know what I'm saying, and skip it, that's what they're gonna do. That's what's wrong with boxing right now. And people want to act like, like that's not a thing, especially when it's their favorite fighter. They want to act like that's not a thing. And that's a big problem, what I'm saying? Because how are we going to keep things organized if we allow exception for, a few people who happen to be a little bit better than everybody else? How are we going to find that out? Because somebody in that division could have the style to give that guy a problem. We do know that styles make fights. We do know that, right? Style make fights. So somebody may have the style for your ass up in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how athletic you are. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might have the timing, what I'm saying, to knock you down, to give you trouble. We've seen it with Floyd. Floyd had trouble with a lot of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? He figured out how to beat them, you know what I'm saying, and beat them soundly. But at the same time, he was going through the divisions though. I don't Canelo, they was talking about he cleaned out 168. Bro, that's another narrative that they had going on. He cleaned out 168. I was like, it was trash. Why you think he went up to 168? You know what I'm saying? He didn't fight David Benavidez, who was at 168, and they always trashing David Benavidez's name because they know that David Benavidez is a threat. The Mexican monster. Oh, he should move up to 178. He's too big for 168. What kind of talk is that? Because he's a threat to your boy, you know? So it's just like Triple G. They never wanted Triple G to fight anybody that was dangerous except for Canelo. So we have all these weird fake narratives going on in boxing to protect fighters. You know, one thing y'all, people talk a lot of shit about Devin Haney, but Devin Haney is willing to fight, guys that can beat him. He's willing to fight guys that can beat him. He may not have power. His daddy may talk a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, Bill. He may talk a lot of shit, but he's willing to fight the fights, man. You got to give that up. What does that matter anymore? You'll say he's willing to go through the divisions. He's willing. I guarantee you, he'll probably lose, but he's willing to fight a Jerron Boots Ennis. I think Devin Haney would try him. So he would lose horribly, you know what I'm saying? But I do think he would try him. You know what I'm saying? I think he would try him. Yeah. So we looking at a changing landscape right now, and we're right in the middle of it. You got two of the oldest legends. We just found out who's the best, you know what I'm saying? And the man came from three weight classes down. So everybody who, you know, there's an exception to every rule, right? and Crawford was the exception to the rule, right? And we just kind of like still shaking our heads. I'm still shaking my head, because I'm out. Canelo, he was jumping up. He looked healthy. It didn't look like nothing was wrong. You know what I'm saying? It looked like nothing was wrong. And he went out there and he tried to. He realized he was behind, but he just had no answers for Crawford's fast footwork. Um, he was trying. He was trying to cut the ring off. He was trying to catch him with the hooks, you know what I'm saying? Crawford elbows, he tucked them elbows, and you see him tilt to the side. He had his hand up. You saw him blocking those hooks. He just had Canelo frustrated, y'all. And Canelo he didn't have nothing else. He didn't have a plan B. He didn't have a plan C. He just had that one thing that he normally does is walk you down to try to knock you out, go to the body. And I heard Eddie Reynoso saying, "Oh man, you got to throw more punches, man. You got to go to the body. You got to go to the body. You got to do more. You got to do more." And Canelo, he was over there, he was breathing hard. I guess Canelo's like, "Shit, you go in there and do more, motherfucker." You know what I'm saying? I guess he was saying like, "Damn." He said, "I'm trying my hardest. This guy is good." You know what I'm saying? And then he's sitting up there trolling you and smiling. You know how Crawford, he popped that smile on you. You know what I'm saying? As he's floating in front of you, and stuff. It's almost like, he's fainting like he's gonna hit you and everything. He's got that extra speed, and he's intimidating. Speed is intimidating, y'all. Speed is intimidating, especially foot speed. People say he couldn't move like that no more. People said he couldn't move like that no more. I was like, well, Crawford is showing you right now. You know what I'm saying? He's 37 going on 38, but he can still move around that ring, y'all. He can still move around that ring. He still got it. He still got what's going on, Master Khalid in the building. What's happening, bro? Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, they don't, yeah. I mean, I don't like his personality, but I think you're right. I think you're right, you know. Um, but this crashing out that they're doing is ridiculous. They got their own echo chambers all around YouTube. All around YouTube, you got people trying to deny Crawford, and Crawford said it. And I sure hate agreeing with Crawford because he's always on this victimhood shit. But he's right. That everything he said is happening. What's going on, Sheldon? LWC or nothing? Reloaded. What's happening, bro? Yeah, you know. So they're just gonna have to eat it. They're just gonna have to eat it. Canelo done got by for years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? But on this bullshit he's been doing. I thought it would end. I thought he would come across. I thought he would get his up and comings. A lot sooner. But hell, I didn't think it'd be this long. I thought somebody would come along and knock him off the hill. But of course, he had it on lock. You know, when Bivol beat him, what I'm saying, he was still able to escape that. You know what I'm saying? He says, man down. No doubt. With my boy Spence, he coming back too, you know. But everybody can't live the lifestyle like that. You know, think about that. I want to be a full-time content creator, but you can't, so everybody can't live like everybody. You know what I'm saying? I can't do like boxing ego, you know what I'm saying? And be a full-time content creator. It's just what it is. I mean, so, I mean, even though, fighters, they do have money to be full-time fighters, but what I'm saying is like, to work out like Crawford, they don't have that same work ethic that he does. He have an obsession with not losing. I think you got to go through things like Floyd. Floyd, he just constantly think boxing. How do you do that? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Other aspects of your life probably suffer, you know what I'm saying? Because you're always thinking about your craft, you know what I'm saying? You're obsessed with your craft. So if you could tell, Mayweather, in his personal life, or just his personality, you get little snapshots of how he is as a person. He ain't that cool. Sugar Ray Leonard ain't that cool. You know what I'm saying? With people, that people they got interesting personalities. I'm telling you, when you that crazy about one thing, like Michael Jordan, his personality ain't that cool, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan ain't trying to do nothing for no. Well, I take that back. He has done some things for black cause, but he's not gonna speak out on nothing. He gonna mess up his paper. You know what I'm saying? And he's kind of an asshole in person. You know what I'm saying? Because he's very competitive. I don't care if you just ball up a piece of paper and try to hit that damn trash can. Michael Jordan is trying to bet on that shit. He's trying to make you feel like a idiot. That's how competitive people are, though. People who are hyper, I guess you got to say it, hyper competitive. If you hyper competitive, you're kind of an asshole. You really are. You know what I'm saying? It just comes with the territory. You know, it just comes with the territory. That's what makes them so great because they're willing to go to that next level. You know what I'm saying? That level of crazy. You know, like I was telling people, like Crawford reminds me of Bruce Lee. Mentality wise. Not that the nigga is Asian. I'm just saying, like, the competitiveness of Bruce Lee, always working out so he can stay stronger than others. Do you know how obsessed you got to be? You know what I'm saying? They said he'd be sitting at home, he'd be doing leg lifts. You know what I'm saying? He'll be pumping iron. You know what I'm saying? While he's sitting down relaxing. It's like, come on, man. That is crazy. But somebody got to do it to be the best, right? You got to do what you got to do. Some people was telling me Kobe Bryant was like that, crazy, obsessed. He would study, people, different stuff that he would see from people who asked him how to do it. He'd go perfect it himself so he could put it in his game. He was obsessed, man. You know what I'm saying? Constantly working on his game. That's Crawford. Crawford constantly working on his craft. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? What's going on, Pat in the building? He says, Bud said, yeah. He says, yeah. He says, man makes history. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. He said, what's going on, SJ Boxing IQ? What's happening? You went to the fight? You was there at you said you was there at Las Vegas. Yeah. How was it and everything, let everybody know how was Las Vegas. Mm. But yeah, man, that just I woke up this morning and you know, I was listening to Teddy Atlas and Tim Bradley, of course, you know what I'm saying? They took a victory lap. You know what I mean? And boy, Teddy Atlas loved him some Bud Crawford. Boy, he went, I never seen, let me tell you something. I've never seen Teddy Atlas that emotional, right? Yeah, I mean, it's almost like Bud Crawford is his relative, his son, and he loves Bud Crawford, and maybe because it's the skill set that he has that, if you're a coach like him, and you get to see those skill sets displayed perfectly, and boy, he went crazy on the mic. I told you that's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's the faster guy. You know what I'm saying? He's the quicker guy, the smarter guy. You know what I mean? I was like, man, listen to Teddy Atlas go, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is the old man gonna have a heart attack getting him worked up like that. You know what I mean? He said, Terrence Crawford made sure he was slower. You know what I mean? He left him $1 short. You know how he be coming up with these crazy analogies, these wild ass analogies. Left him $1 short. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, it was cool though. It was cool. You know what I'm saying? Because he always said that Bud Crawford could beat Canelo. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of guys. There was a lot of black guys too, saying that Canelo in 7. You know, saying Canelo was gonna go out there and his power was too much, his weight was too much. He's gonna come in 200 pounds, all this and that and other. And one thing about it, Bud, I saw it for myself. He wasn't worried about it. He didn't seem nervous. He handled Canelo like he handled anybody else. He just knew he was a greater, he was just better, a better athlete. He knew he was quicker. You know what I'm saying? He just seen the situation for what it was. And that's the sign of a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? He says Teddy is senile and delusional. He said motherfucker irritates me mostly. He says respect to him though. He says though, but the dude is ridiculous, you know. But you know, he's a character, man. You know, we miss the characters in sports like Howard Cosell, like that. People characters like that. You know, let me tell you like it really is. And you know, some of that shit got him in trouble. You know what I'm saying? When he called the guy, he said, "Look at that monkey catch." You know, and I think that was the end of his career. He's like, "All right, Howard, go sit your ass down." You know. But yeah, that's what's going on, man, in these boxing streets right now. You know, you got these people just denying. They're trying to say that Crawford didn't win by much. I had Crawford winning at least 10 rounds. I had him winning at least 10 rounds, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what people were watching, but I had at least 10 rounds. You know, Canelo wasn't doing shit. You know, I mean, he hit Crawford flush a couple of times, maybe. When he spinned off the ropes, he would, you know, get a shot here or there. You know, I don't know what fight, you know, they were looking. Maybe it was just they can't allow a black fighter to beat a Mexican, you know, beat a great Mexican, you know, hero or whatever. And maybe that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because from what I saw, Canelo got, you know, he got outboxed, he got outclassed. You know, Crawford started to he really started to style on Canelo. You know what I'm saying? But Canelo was just a little bit too good for that. He had to stay on his P's and Q's. You know, Crawford was really going to try to start styling on him. But Canelo was just a little bit too good for Crawford to start styling on him. But I believe Canelo gassed out. I believe he gassed out, and he started getting destroyed on the inside. Because when he had to turn up, when Eddie Reynoso told him to turn up, he didn't look like he had it, man. You know, he did turn up as much as he could, but it looked like he didn't have the drive to do it. You know, but I saw him going out there throwing more punches. I said, "Oh shit, here we go." I said, "Crawford he better be careful, you know, circling on the outside because you know Canelo gonna start throwing those looping shots." Never happened. Never happened. You know what I'm saying? It says, "Yep, Poole, I agree with you." Says Booker, "Yeah, he controlled the tempo, the action from the opening bell, and that surprised the shit out of me. He just knows how to his ring generalship. Man, it's so much to talk about when you talk about this. When you see him in action, right? And my thing is, I get so upset with the other side because they don't take Crawford as seriously as he takes them. You understand? He don't. You know, it's like we got to get boxing back to what it is. You got another man training for what 6 weeks or whatever, 8 weeks, right? To defeat you. He's trying to come up with a strategy. He's seen you fight before, right? So he knows what you like to do. He's seen film on you. So how are they misreading what they're seeing, uh with Aerosmith Jr., I said, man, he's a little slow, so he's gonna have to get his speed, his boxing up. You can't go into lunging. Everybody knew that. So how Derek James didn't know that, you know. I mean, I know we're not fighters, but if you see enough fights, you can tell what kind of works and what don't. You know what I'm saying? If you see somebody lunging in there, unless they Sean Porter with supersonic speed, speed feet, what I'm saying, they probably gonna get clipped. And Sean Porter did end up getting clipped, by Crawford, which is kind of crazy, but he had to slow down. He had to get to that body first. Yeah, even that Bud had to figure that out because he was losing that fight, right? He was losing that fight. But instinctively, he knows how to conserve his energy. He knows how to fight the fight. The man knows how to fight. Conserve his energy. Let the other person tire themselves out. Go to the body. You know what I'm saying? And then by the second half of the round, you know what I'm saying? You do what you do because now you don't figure out where the punch is coming from. And now he can use his defense. I didn't even think his defense was that good. You know what I'm saying? Because all you do, you see him get hit so many times, but his defense was stellar against Canelo. We talk a lot of shit about Bud Crawford's defense. His defense was 100% on time in that fight, bro. I'm talking about he had excellent defense. He wasn't no Mayweather. He wasn't slipping shit like that, but he was blocking shit, bro. And he was countering. And those counters, I've never seen anybody counter the way Crawford counters, just so fast. You know what I'm saying? Immediately. And he's hitting you in combinations, and moving the hell up out the way. Yeah. He was gassed out. Yeah. Yeah, he was gassed out. I could see him breathing hard as hell. He says the fight was great. He says jam packed. He said I've been to about 20 fights. He said this production by far was the best. He says, okay, Netflix and the Turk. Okay. You know what I'm saying? He says as far as production and overall experience. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind have going myself, but I didn't think I would be off on time. He said, shit, how about that undercard though? Straight bangers top to bottom. Dana White showed out. Yeah, there's some pretty good cards, but it was a couple of stinkers in there too. Um, it was okay card. Like I said, I didn't complain about the card at all. I wish they could have got some other fights. Maybe got Keith Thurman on there, and Fedora or something like that. You know what I mean? Got some of the fights that really going to affect the divisions and affect the boxing the way that we know it, right? Um, have something that we really want to see. You know, I don't know why they had so many, like the Jermaine Franklin fight. We didn't need that. That was such a bad fight. And then a couple of other ones in there with, I mean, like Jesus. We could have. I like the Adams fight, and Sergey Bokachev fight. That was really good too. That was a good fight. I thought Bokachev was going to win that. I don't know. I don't know why that Brandon Adams just got his number, man. He just told. I mean, he just towed through his ass, bro. I was just like, damn. I said, that boy, that's rough. I should have known better because he got experience with fighting Jamal Charlo, so he's used to coming from getting hit by bigger men, and yeah, it shows. He says, "I'm seeing excuses." He says, shaking my head. Bud did that, and many of us call it before the fight. So to Mobile and Lester, them boys went. Oh God, bro, I feel. You know what I'm saying though? It wasn't nothing to feel shame about because Lester was in that fight. Mobile was just stronger. Mobile, he's not a pretty boxer. No, he definitely got all the way inside the cut on Lester and didn't give him no room. You know what I'm saying? And he stayed in Lester's chest, and that gave Lester problems. Lester needs some space. Martinez, he needs some space to work, and he spent most of the fight pushing off Mobile. And Mobile knew that, and he just amped it up, just kept just running into Lester. And that's how he won it. He just outworked him. Just outworked him. You know what I'm saying? It was a good fight though. I was really impressed by Lester Martinez's composure though. I mean, I thought he was gonna go off the rails. When you got somebody all up in your grill and you can't get off, I was impressed by the young man. I was impressed by that. And sometimes you got to have those kind of losses, you know what I'm saying? And those kind of experiences in a fight. I think it's gonna make him a better fighter. I think that's going to make him even stronger, taking that L because now he's going up the ranks fighting better fighters. It's going to just, iron sharpen iron, and he's young, so he should be, he could take a loss right now, what I'm saying, learn from it. So he's going to go back to the gym. He's going to sharpen his craft, what I'm saying, especially I think he's with Bomac and he's with Bud Crawford. I think they are over him. I think he's with that camp. So I'm sure he's going to improve. You know, I was looking at Shakur Stevenson. He's just sitting back, basking in all of the joy that Bud Crawford has won and everything. And I told you, again, I told you, Bud. So you got a lot of people, talking about they told him that Bud Crawford was going to beat Canelo. Saying, and I said he's going to beat him, but I just didn't know how the hell he was going to do it. I said, what I'm saying, I said boxing, but I had to see it, and I saw it. So we had to give Bud his flowers. What I'm saying? We got to give him his flowers. Y'all know how I feel about Bud, but we got to give him his flowers. Full kind of boxing, we fair over here. What we ain't gonna do is we're not gonna go into an alternate universe where we're gonna deny what really happened, right? He says, yeah, Martinez had some good uppercuts. He had some good uppercuts. He said, yeah, he was teeing up, yeah, like a punching bag, but that pressure, yeah, that pressure. Mobile seemed like he was huge, man. Did you see his shoulders, bro? He looked like grape ape up in there. I was like, why is he built like a damn silverback? You know what I'm saying? And he was just, his shoulders was just super huge. It's like he was, I mean, like he went into the hyperbolic chamber, you know what I'm saying? And he was like a piece of steel up in that thing, man. But Martinez was still giving him some good shots, man. He just didn't give him any room to throw. Um, you know, to put a consistent level of distance between him so he could separate himself. Mobile just kept throwing. A lot of those Africans fight like that. I don't understand it. Ghanaians, Angolians, what I'm saying? They all throw themselves in your chest and just rush you and the head down, and they got these weird, awkward movements. And it's like, it's effective. Mayorga, used to give Vernon Forrest a lot of trouble, what I'm saying, because he was a brawler. And, and the crazy thing is, that's how them style made fights, because from some reason, Vernon Forrest, excuse me, y'all. For some reason, Vernon Forrest could not beat Mayorga, but Mayorga could beat Vernon Forrest, and then Vernon Forrest could beat Sugar Shane Mosley, but Sugar Shane Mosley could beat Mayorga. You know what I'm saying? And even Oscar De La Hoya knocked out Mayorga. But yeah, I think he was kind of done by the time he got to Oscar De La Hoya. Um, the sad thing about Mayorga, I think they found him in Nicaragua, on the streets. He ended up being on the streets and stuff, man. I think he died on the streets, which is the ending for a lot of fighters. You know what I mean? He's from Cameroon. Okay. I know he's from some goddamn one. Motherfucker look weird. He says, Jacobak tweeted huge fight announcement. Next week you're gonna shake up the boxing world. Okay, he probably about to get into some of this money that's going around. He's probably about to get into some of this Turk money. But where do we go from here is the question. Where do we go from here? What is next for Canelo? He got 3 more fights, and I don't think it's going to really affect him much. I don't think it's going to. I think Canelo, man, he got so much cachet that people expect you to lose at the end of your career. If you keep fighting, you saw how many Roy Jones Jr. lost, right? You saw how many fights he lost. You know, um, yeah. At the end of your career, people expect you to lose. So, and Canelo, he's stepping off into the sunset. So I'm thinking that he's trying to save a couple of spaces for some um, $200 million paydays. Like if you want to fight David Benavidez, he done already took a loss. He done already took a loss. You know what I'm saying? So why not fight David Benavidez and go all out? And if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. But guess what? You got 200. million in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't got no belts, you don't have to pass the torch, to David. He can just fight him and get on into the sunset. And for maybe he would run this back with Bud Crawford. You know what I'm saying? He might run this shit back with Bud Crawford. Cause seeing how emotional Canelo got, he was like, I could tell, bro. They was all putting their hands on his back and all this shit, but Canelo's still competitive, my nigga. He is still competitive. He wanted. I saw him. I saw that lion going back and forth. I was like, yeah, we might get another one. We might get another one in this thing. What's going on, JB? What's happening, my brother?
Oh, ain't too much. Poor Connor, how you been?
Oh, I'm chilling, bro. I did a 15-hour live stream the other damn day.
Oh, okay, you did. You did a 15-hour live. Yeah, I bet you it was a lot of people called in and had to give it up for Crawford, man, putting on a historic performance, man, a dominating performance against Canelo Alvarez.
Could you walk me through what you seen in the fight? Because I just want to see it from your expertise, because I was just going over some of the things that I saw, and I was just like, I was amazed. I was amazed. What did you see Crawford do to Canelo?
He basically dominated him with his superior footwork. He was able to unlike Canelo, who has to be set to punch, Crawford was able to hit Canelo with a lot of different shots from different angles, turn Canelo, basically control Canelo with the jab. Canelo had to constantly have to reset every time Crawford touched him with the jab, he had to reset. And he basically just outmaneuvered, outskilled, and his footwork was just superior. That's been a problem with Canelo throughout his career. A lot of people try not to, talk about it, don't notice it, man. But he has very, very slow feet. He makes up with it with his upper body movement. He says great upper body movement. He knows how to roll and parry punches. So he's able to get away with it with the slow feet, kind of make up for it. But when you're going against guys like Crawford, Mayweather, and Bivol, guys with that, great head movement and great upper body movement, and along with the great footwork or educated feet, that's what present problems to Canelo. And I kind of, when you watch the fight as it started off in the first round, Canelo had a lot of respect for Crawford. He didn't come out aggressive. He came out in the middle of the ring and tried to box Crawford. So I noticed that right off the bat. I said, okay, Canelo's not trying to push forward. He's basically going to try to box the Crawford. And I say, well, maybe him coming in a little lighter than usual, maybe he's going to be trying to outwork, and outmaneuver Crawford, try to go back to what he did at 154 and throw combinations and stuff like that. But he really wasn't doing that. He wasn't really doing that. He was still trying to load up on one punch at a time. And he basically got, the left hook, and he's got the overhand right. And Crawford basically took them two weapons away from Canelo.
Yeah. I was like, bro, when you look at the strategic aspect of it, man, wasn't you just like, damn, man, Crawford prepared. He was prepared like a motherfucker, wasn't he? How he was blocking the hooks on his elbows, how he would move when Canelo tried to get set. It's like, why you going Crawford ain't finna let you get set. You see, if you watch Crawford fights, he's not gonna let you get set. It's like, so why didn't you work off, why didn't you work on punching while you're moving? I'm just kind of stunned. Why do these coaches, trainers, and these teams get paid so much if they don't scout the fight? Somebody ain't doing their job in these camps. If we sit here as boxing nerds and we can see it, why the coaches can't see it? I just don't understand it. It was really something that that I don't understand. It's like, if I could see that Canelo's gonna have to, he can't set and punch. If he's gonna have to change his strategy. He's been doing the same thing for the last 8 fights, and I know it's been working for you, but you fighting somebody different now. Fight somebody who really believes that they can beat you. Somebody who's coming to embarrass you. Somebody who's coming to really challenge you. And to me, it just kind of befuddles me how they never take it seriously. They never go that, you know what I'm saying, go that extra mile to prepare, you know, do something different, you know. Um, I thought he would be juicing. He didn't stand up in between rounds, or none of that stuff. It was just different for me. I was like, this was like a regular fight, you know. Um, two two 168 pounders. You know, I didn't see nothing off about this fight, and that really surprised me. I didn't see the scorecard, you know, what I'm saying, go in the favor of Canelo. You know, I didn't see anybody trying to fudge the numbers. Um, you know how they do when they start speaking on your work and all that kind of stuff, and speaking on the other guy work, and none of that went on in this. I mean, Crawford got a fair shake. Um, I saw the commentary even the commentary was like kind of going Crawford's way. I was surprised by that. I was like, what is going on here? You know, 'cause I thought that, you know how they try to save the favorite, the money maker. You know, by the end
Yeah,
of the fight, they start talking. Yeah, you know, I didn't see none of that. JB, I was like, I
yeah.
was surprised by that.
Yeah, it
Go
wasn't
ahead.
as far as commentators, they were all in unison that Crawford won the fight, but one of those judges did have a fight 115, 113. So they had a 7-5. So you swing around here and there, they could have tried to steal or rob Crawford, at least in that one judge's scorecard. I think the other two had it 116, 112, which worst case scenario was 116, 112. I think I had it 117, 111. That's what I had.
Yeah,
I had a man
I
three.
mean,
But I can see A4 at
I
worst.
wouldn't give. I wouldn't give Crawford. I didn't see 3 rounds. Canelo won.
Yeah,
Maybe two, maybe three, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was definitely
and
118, 110, 117, 111. It wasn't nowhere close. No, I don't. You could. I ain't see no. I couldn't see 5 rounds that Canelo won in the fight myself.
man, and you know, I was just so split on just. I was just like, this dude here has proven that he's one of the great ones. Don't you agree, JB? Wouldn't you say he's Crawford is one of the a great fighter? That hurts my
Yeah,
stomach to
yeah.
say that.
Yeah, he's a
It
great fighter. He's the best fighter of this era. You know, I said that going to the fight. That's what this fight had represented. And he's the best fighter of this era. You know, the last era, it was Floyd Mayweather Jr. This era is Terrence Bud Crawford is the best fighter of this era. Now, Usyk and his fans, they'll probably say, hold on, wait a minute. What about what Usyk did? Usyk is coming on strong, but I'm talking about the last 7-8 years since Mayweather Pacquiao fought. Mayweather pretty much retired. He had a fight with Berto and then pretty
mm,
much retired after that. I'm talking about since
mhm.
then, you know, the two top guys were Canelo and Crawford, as far as being undisputed in two weight classes, the wins that they had and the dominant performances they put on. Them were the two top guys, and they met last night. And Crawford showed to be the superior fighter, so I think he's the best fighter of this era. And I probably put him definitely top 20 all time. And it's a case that you could make him top 10 greatest boxer of all time. That's to come to the end after this win over Canelo.
So what do you think about this whole Canelo fan crash out stuff? You know, they crashing out all over the internet, bro. I don't understand what about this hype. I know it's a competitive thing where you know you got America versus Mexico, but why do we have men today that want to make excuses? You know, why do they want to make excuses for when they just saw a masterclass performance? Why not just give Bud Crawford his props? You know, I don't like damn Crawford. But what? But you could give him his props and not like him. You don't have to like him just to give him his props for what he's done. You know what I'm saying? And they're just tearing him up. Oh, Crawford ran the whole night. I'm like, bro, what you are talking about? You know what I'm saying? That man did not run. Put that man on Bambi legs. You know, 'cause, I mean, he was wobbling Canelo in there. You never seen that before, except for by Triple G maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Crawford did some shit in there, man, and they're trying to downplay it. And I'm just like, I don't understand why they're trying to do this collateral damage type of stuff. It's like, bro, everybody saw the fight. You're not going to change anybody's mind. So what's the point? What is the point of it?
Yeah, they just a lot of Canelo fans, you're supposed to stick by your fighter come hill or high water. I understand that. But if you just really look at the fight going in. You know, you listen to what they were saying going into this fight. A lot of them were saying, "Oh, he's too big. The power is going to overwhelm Crawford. You know, Crawford ain't gonna be able to take the punch." You see what happened when Crawford got hit by Green Machine. And never mind the fact that fight was like 7-8 years ago. In this boxing, you're gonna get hit, but you've never really seen Crawford consistently hurt or consistently showing to have a weak chin. But that's what people are trying to make it look like. Talking about, oh, Crawford defense ain't that good. He's an average defensive fighter. Based on what? Look at the stats. Quit going on what you hear on the internet or what you think perceive to be the case. Look at the numbers. He's consistently been one of the best defensive fighters in boxing today. I think his opponent was landing like 7.6% of their punches on him. His defense is top notch. Is it Shakur Stevenson? You know, maybe not good as that, but it's right up there with him. You know, maybe not as good as Mayweather Jr., but it's right up there with them. His stats don't lie. This guy's a tremendous defensive fighter. And what he did last night was he kind of went back to what he did at 140. You go back and watch the Felix Diaz fight. That was a masterclass performance. Boxing, jab, you know, hitting him with the 1-2, turning him, you know, controlling range, in the mid-range, getting his shots off, then jumping out of range, making the guy miss, hitting, don't get hit. That's the sweet science of boxing. And he just basically went back to the old school against Canelo. Went back to show everybody, hey, since I've been moved up in weight, I've been more of an offensive-minded fighter in the pocket. And it's led to, 11 straight knockouts before the Majormal fight. So I've been a more aggressive fighter. But don't sleep on me about that. I can't go back to what I was doing at 140 when I was boxing guys' ears off. And that's what he did last night versus Canelo. He went back to the old school, for lack of a better word, and went back to his old days and showed everybody, hey, I am a guy. I am a complete fighter. I can fight in any style and perform well and perform at a high level in any style. That's what makes Bud Crawford great.
And that was impressive, bro. I mean, it was times when he stood in that pocket. You could see the expression on Canelo's face. He ain't want that, bro. He ain't want that. You know what I'm saying? Because he already knew how fast this guy's hands were. He already knew how strong he was on the inside. So Canelo was like, man, I got to fight this man on the inside. He tried to do as much damage as he could to Crawford, but he knew after that one punch was gone. And did you see the post up? Did you see the frame up Crawford did with his shoulder, with his elbow? And he framed him up and then he hit him with like a goddamn 3, 4, 5 piece combination on the inside. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I was like, oh God. I mean, he framed him up. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo get off. Because Canelo gonna put everything into one punch. And after he got that one punch off, it was like pop, 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 pop. It was just a combination, bro. And then he was knocking them back. Because Bud will throw 3 or 4 punches. He'll throw 3 or 4 or 5 combination, you know what I'm saying, and knock you back and then get out of there. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that was brilliant. He just put on a great performance. And he's gonna go down with some of the greats, guys that moved up 2 weight classes and beat the top dogs at that weight class. Another thing people kept talking about going into this fight, like, man, the guy's moving up 3 weight classes, the guy's moving up 2 weight classes. I'm like, do y'all know the history of boxing? This is not something that we have never seen before. I kept bringing an example of, I say, Bernard Hopkins did it. He went up 2 weight classes and beat Tarver. Tarver was the top guy at 175 and just got through sleeping Roy Jones Jr., the all-time great. We seen it with Sugar Shane Mosley. He moved up from lightweight to 147 to fight the top guy at 147, Oscar De La Hoya, and beat him.
Yep.
So we seen this before. This ain't like when you great and you got the skills to pay the bills, you can move up weight classes and get the job done. People acting like this there's no way he can win. It's impossible he can move up 2 weight classes. It's just too much weight, too much power. There's no way. I'm like, it's been an example of this in the past. If you're a generational talent, you can pull it off. And that's what Crawford did last night. He pulled it off.
And people don't, there's a lot of guys that moved up and, had championships belts at different weight classes. I can't think of the guy name back then, the 40s or something like that, 40s or 30s, something like that, where he went up and down, from 147 to 135. It's a lot of greats that, went back and forth, you know what I'm saying? They didn't do what Crawford did. They didn't become undisputed. But they, to keep money in their pocket, they had to keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but Crawford, I think, is a throwback. I think he's a throwback to, them guys that worked out all the time, stayed in the gym, knew that boxing was their job, their life. They were committed. And I think we have less fighters committed to the sport.
Yeah. It's just it's just he just got to put his name up there with the legends. Remember
Mhm.
Roberto Duran? That's another guy. He came up from lightweight to fight Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard was the top guy in the welterweight division. He had just got through beating Benitez. That was a fight to really determine the top guy at welterweight at that time. He beat him decisively. Duran jumped up 2 weight classes and beat him because Duran was an all-time great. He had the skills to move up in weight and beat a lot of beat top guys at their in their weight class. And that's exactly what Crawford did last night. So we've had examples of this in the past, but it's been with all-time great type of fighters. And I always thought Crawford was a all-time great. That's why I thought he could pull it off against Canelo. When a lot of other people didn't believe that.
A lot of people don't realize that Duran, by that time, he was already 10 years, damn near 10 years in the game. By the time people really start to get to know him at middleweight,
Yeah.
he was already 10 years in the game. Them guys been fighting since like 71, 72, shit like that. Um, we only know him because, they got popularity and network deals started to come along when he was ready to fight Sugar Ray Leonard. So them guys had already, what Olympics, I can't remember what Olympics Sugar Ray won, but it was in the 70s, y'all.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
1976, 76.
Mhm. It was in the
Yeah,
70s.
76.
So it was in the 70s.
Yeah,
So
1976.
by the time they got the cachet, to make the big money, they were already old, getting older and stuff. They were already older guys, you know.
Yeah.
So, hmm
Yeah, but like I say, he had like you say, Duran had a lot of fights, and but he didn't get the accolades. And I think he was kind of jealous of Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray got the accolades right out of the Olympics, being a gold medalist. He was getting them big fights. I think his first fight, he was making more than probably a lot of Duran fights after he had been a pro for a while. So Duran was kind of jealous of that. So this was his first fight on that big stage, and he was probably making good money, but he wasn't making what Sugar Ray made. And Sugar Ray had like 50 less fights than probably than Duran at that time. So Duran had that chip on his shoulder, and he put
yeah,
on a career best performance against Sugar Ray in that first fight.
him and Hagler. Hagler had to stack up, and he had to fight all them tough ass dudes and go through the ranks. So that's why it's so important, saying for us to get this boxing back as a sport because we got so many people going through the back door, through network deals. But I don't think boxing going to go back the way it was. It's just too much politics going on right now. So we really can't hold these fighters' feet to the fire. Everybody wants to do it. We can't just do. We can't hold. We can't hold the guys that we don't like accountable, right? And
Yeah,
then the guys we do like, we just give them a pass. You know, I do understand that Tank is, he's making $40 million. If you was in his shoes, you would probably go for the money too. But at the same time, you coming off a bad fight, bro. You coming off a blemish. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we would boxing fans would prefer for you to go and take that fight and knock Roach out and then go for the money. You got to think that Jake Paul ain't losing nothing. That ain't a fight that people really want to see. You know that that circus he got going over there. So
yeah,
I
you
don't know
saw them
why.
promoting that fight too. They promoting that fight during the Canelo Crawford fight. Like that's the next big fight on Netflix. I'm like, okay, it's gonna do some big numbers. No doubt about that. But it's
Yeah,
just
but
gonna
why?
be.
But why?
Well, I just want some
But
guys
why,
to. Hopefully, it's a
why do
real
you
fight.
think
I don't want it to be no some scripted or some
it's
exhibition.
an
That's why I think they're trying to
exhibition?
make that a real fight. Because exhibition, people gonna think it's not legitimate. They think they're gonna go in there and be a sparring session.
Let me ask you something. Why do you think it's going to be a big fight? Why? Why is it such a spectacle? You got somebody that's coming from 135 pounds to fight somebody who's 175 pounds. How is that a good fight?
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
it's not it's not gonna be it's gonna be crazy. It's not gonna be only thing that they gonna have advantage over Canelo and Crawford is the press conference is probably gonna be better because Jake Paul gonna be calling Tank all kind of crazy name, midget, this, that, and the third, and then Tank gonna be replying. So the press conference will be good, but as far as just a legacy and action and what that fight meant compared to what we just seen, is just no comparison. No comparison whatsoever. You got basically right now exhibition that they trying to make a real fight. Hope we'll see what the boxing commission in Atlanta, Georgia, rule on it on the September 18th. They supposed to rule on that if they're gonna try to find a loophole or something to try to make that a real fight. Not they might move that fight to another city, but it's definitely something that they're gonna pump up, and it's gonna get a lot of shine over other fights that are more mean more as far as champions fighting and guys putting themselves in position of being bigger fights. This fight don't measure up to none of these type of fights like Better Beeve and Yard. That's a big fight for Benavidez and Yard. That's a big fight for Benavidez. He get that win, maybe he get Better Beeve next. They put themselves in position for a real big fight. This fight here, whoever wins, what they gonna they ain't put them in the position to do nothing. It's just a bag that they get. Both of them getting.
Oh, he definitely gonna get Better Beeve. He definitely gonna get Better Beeve. But I think I think him and Biffle got one more fight. I think they got a trilogy going on. I don't know. I think it fell through the last time. I'm not sure, but I think they're trying to fight each other again.
Yeah, they was thinking about doing it, but it's just saying the first two fights were high level chess match, but it wasn't nothing memorable about none of them fights. It wasn't one round that was a memorable round, and it was the two fights were kind of similar, really. So there's nobody really excited to watch them fight a third time outside of let's find out who the better fight out of the two, because it's 1-1, basically the tiebreaker. But outside of that, the two fights were nothing to remember, nothing that we're gonna be talking about 10, 15 years later. It wasn't them either one of them won that type of fight. So that's why I'm thinking that Turkey them, when I think Bill and his team said that they was gonna try to put the fight on in Russia, Turkey was like, cool. I was just gonna put on a third fight because I gave you guys my word, but I really ain't trying to put on that fight. That fight ain't really, it ain't really make me no money, and it really wasn't no fight that the fans are really excited to watch for a third time. So I think they much rather make Benavidez versus Better Beeve, which is a more fan-friendly fight than Better Beeve versus Bivol. But wait, let me ask you something, Poole. What you think about Canelo saying after the fight that Crawford is way better than Mayweather? He asked him to compare the two because he shared the ring with both of them. He said that Crawford is way better than Mayweather. I think he was kind of hating on Mayweather. But you remember Mayweather, when they fought, Mayweather made him fight him at a catch weight. Used his own words against him. He said, I'll fight Mayweather at 152. And they was like, okay, we're going to hold you to your word. It's going to be at 152, even though Canelo really wanted that fight at 154.
Well, I just think it's sour grapes because he can never get Mayweather back in the ring. The one guy that beat him, so they always trying to throw shade on Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Because he escaped the game. He escaped the matrix. He beat the game. So of course they're always throwing dirt on his name. The industry. Because he's the one guy they couldn't control.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if he would have said Crawford is better, I think I give Crawford the edge. Okay, I can go with that maybe. Maybe I might not agree, or maybe I would agree. But for you to say he way better, that let me know, nah, man, you kind of salty. You still mad about that catch weight. You didn't want that fight at a catch weight, but you said it, because you really wanted to get that fight. You said you would be willing to fight him at 152, and they held you to your word.
But I guess he knows Floyd's an egomaniac. But what does that really mean? As far as boxing rec goes, what does that mean in reality? He's just trying to get to Mayweather just to piss him off, right? And did you see the video where Oscar De La Hoya was laughing? You know what I'm saying? Did you see that?
I heard something about it, but I ain't seen the video. I heard Oscar De La Hoya made a video, basically going in on Canelo, but I didn't get a chance to see it yet. I'm about to check it out. I ain't get a chance to catch it.
You talking about fire the matchmakers, and he was laughing and stuff. You know, it's like I told you so. I said that's a bitter man, isn't it? I
Ever since
that
Canelo left Golden Boy, he been hating on him. You know, his company ain't the same since Canelo left. That was their cash cow. You know, they ain't made no star since Canelo left. They thought Ryan Garcia was gonna be the star, and that hasn't come to fruition. That man
they
ain't
got
never won a belt
they got
yet.
Virgil Ortiz. He's a star.
Yeah, in Fort Worth he is. In Fort Worth he a star, but outside of Fort Worth, ain't nobody know who he is really. You know what I'm saying? But I like Virgil though. Hopefully, you know, he got Erickson Lubin coming up. You know, hopefully get a win and move on
Yeah,
to a bigger, more high-profile fight. But we just have to wait to see what he do. But right now, you know, he's not a star. He's not a star, not even a little bit. So, yeah, it's
well,
Golden Boy, man, they really, Oscar
Golden
really upset
Boy.
about that. You know, when Canelo left, he still to this day ain't got over that.
Yeah, he real salty about that. And look like they competing in business too, because look like Canelo wants to be, you know, have more money than Floyd. He wants to be able to walk around, you know, like Floyd. All of them, you know, they it's like they, you know, it's this hate, this comparison, you know, to Floyd is it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I think Floyd is a billionaire now.
That's what he say. He say he a billionaire. You know, he fighting
Yeah.
Tyson again. You know, you having these fights like this, these exhibitions with Tyson, people gonna start speculating.
Mhm.
Oh man, he must be going broke. Why does he keep coming back,
Yeah.
man? God damn,
So he
your
could be a
legacy is
billionaire.
set.
Hmm.
You was fighting the guy that lost to Jake Paul. What you doing? But that fight gonna do big numbers too in the spring. What, it gonna be in the spring, sometime in the spring of 2026. You
Hmm.
know, they ain't said the platform is gonna be shown on, but I would be a bit surprised if Netflix pick that up too. You know,
Man,
that way
Netflix is a lot of these companies are getting it in, you know, whereas Showtime and everybody else, HBO, they shut down out of boxing. There's a lot of industries, Amazon Prime getting in, you know what I'm saying, in the boxing, you know. So shit, you know, well, see, I just want to see how it's gonna all shake out. He said, Hope Lubin pull an upset. That's gonna be interesting, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna be a good fight. You
yeah,
know,
Lubin a
that's
live dog. He's a live dog. That's really, if you really look at it, that's really almost, you know, you can say, if you say that was a 50-50 fight, I couldn't really argue. That's a good
yeah, that's
fight. You
true.
look at both guys' skill sets. So that's a good, if Lubin come in there, you know, because he's a real good boxer. Got power too. If he come
Mm-hmm.
in there focused and stay focused for 12 rounds, he could beat Virgil. Virgil almost lost to Boychek. We seen what happened with Boychek last night. He got beat by Brian Adams. Got dominated too. It wasn't no like the first fight when Boychek was winning and got caught late. And then people can say, well, he just got caught late. Just stay focused. He could beat Brian Adams. That wasn't the case. What we seen last night. Brian Adams beat him decisively. So Boychek
Mm-hmm.
might have been a little bit overrated. That's why I don't want to always judge people off of one fight. They kind of doing the same thing with Bachram. Oh man, Bachram is the boogeyman. Bachram, man, ain't nobody trying to see Bachram, man. Bachram is gonna be the best guy at 154. Based off of beating Tim Tszyu, that's what you saying after one fight? You know, this guy
Mm-hmm.
was fighting on Jamel Charlo undercard, getting paid step aside money and let Charlo fight Castano and these guys like that in the Castano rematch. If he was really like that, like y'all saying he is, he shouldn't have took no step aside money and went there and beat Jamel Charlo. He would have been the man in 154 a long time ago. But now, based off of beating Tim Tszyu, who now we know is a limited fighter, y'all want to say he's a top guy at 154 and he can beat everybody. Now I got to see a little bit more from Bachram. I ain't on the Bachram hype train just yet. I want to see how he fight against Josh Kelly. I think Kelly got a chance to beat him because he's gonna present a different style. He don't fight nothing like Tim Tszyu. He's actually a boxer. He actually a guy that has skills, those combinations. You know, knows how got good educated footwork. So I want to see how Bachram fare against with that style of fight. If he dominates Josh Kelly, knocks him out, and beats him worse than David Avenesian did, then yeah, okay. Well, then now we can say that okay, Bachman is gonna be one of the guys to beat at
Mm-hmm.
154. We can say that, but right
Bacham,
now it's a little bit premature.
Bacham got some power, man. I mean, the way he went through Tim Tszyu, I was just like, wow. Because I expected that to happen to Tim Tszyu earlier. And I thought your boy Tony was gonna take care of him, Harrison, Tony Harrison.
Yeah,
But he just wasn't on that level. He just wasn't on that level, bro. I was like, I mean, his father, with all the personal problems that he had, but I finally somebody got to Tim Zuka. I didn't think he was that good. Excuse me. What's going on, 444 in the building? What's going on, bro? I know
Oh,
you doing a lap this morning.
you
What's that?
you funny, you funny boy. No, I just saw you on. I said, let me check in with you, brother.
I thought you was gonna come in last night. I did like a 15-hour live stream. Man.
Oh yeah, I miss. It was so much going on, man. I was like browsing other channels and it was just so much going on. I was like, let me hear what people's thoughts were. But
Mm-hmm.
nah, man. Well, what y'all wrapping up? What y'all rapping about today?
Well, we talked about. Well, I'll get your perspective on the Bud fight. How did you? How did Bud win the fight?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty much what we kind of you've heard me on your channel. I
I
spoke
mean,
about.
I mean, how did you think the fight went? How could Canelo look like
Oh,
he ain't
I
even
mean
get an answer?
the fight. I mean, the beautiful thing about this fight is now it makes people really understand the arrow fight. The caveat people had was, well, arrow this, arrow that, and the excuses. Oh, he was damaged goods. Nah, none of that was the case. People kind of use the excuses of, well, these people are over the hill. The reality is that the dude went up there and beat a good Canelo, an in shape Canelo, ready for war. The bottom line is that Crawford game plans. He takes he takes what he does very serious, man. And that's the problem. That's the difference. These fighters don't really take the job serious. And Crawford does that. Crawford took away Canelo's, you know, everything from Canelo, and that's just it. Same way he took everything away from Errol. That's just it. It's the same. It was the same. I mean, the sense of Canelo said he had no answer out of his own mouth. He was
Yeah,
confused.
I
He
heard
was
him.
confused. And then here's the other thing. People think Crawford didn't have Crawford wobbled him. He wobbled him in the 11th
Yeah,
round.
yeah, he
So
wobbled him a
so
couple of times.
yeah, so people, I'm kind of glad it went that way because it's like now what? Because it changes. See, people need to realize what they're looking at. When you're blackballed, man, you're blackballed, man. It don't mean that you're not a genius. It don't mean that you're not great. And that's the problem, man. Just because people get opportunities, and Crawford is a guy that don't like to play the games, man. And politics sometimes kill boxers, man. Like, not everybody got the appetite for all them games. I mean, I sit and listen to it sometimes, and I get it. I get annoyed by it. And that's just it. And as you can see, the world saw Crawford went up there and dominated. And guess what? He fought in all types of boxing styles. I mean, he gave you some inside game. Everybody said he couldn't fight in the pocket. Well, who was the better pocket fighter there? I mean, look, he gave you combos. He gave you lateral movement. He had power. He knew when to. Honestly, I don't know if everybody noticed this. Crawford could have knocked him out if he wanted to be greedy. His coaching staff said, "Look, his
I don't
coaching
know
staff."
about that.
Okay, I want you. I'll
know,
tell you why. I'll tell you why I
going,
say that. We all
Mhm.
know Crawford to go for blood when Crawford did just enough, but he made sure he didn't get ahead of himself. Listen to what Bomac said to him. Bomac said, listen, he told him, don't get into no firefight with him. You saw
I
spurts.
heard that.
You saw spurt. What I'm saying is that you trying to tell me Canelo, there were some hits where Canelo clearly almost wanted to, he kind of paused because he was just in
Yeah, I know what
disbelief.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you trying to tell me Crawford couldn't the bloodthirsty Crawford we know Crawford had. I'm gonna tell you right now. I believe Crawford felt sorry for the dude when Crawford started laughing, and when Crawford got his timing by after the third round, it was a wrap, man. There was nothing Canelo could do. So the only reason I said that Crawford could have stopped him is because Crawford knows when a person is it ain't
Mentally
there.
mentally defeated.
Yeah, he
Bro,
knew. He know.
bro,
Go ahead.
I think if Crawford sensed that he could knock, I think he would have knocked Canelo ass out. I'm
I'm
talking about. Let me tell you, the way he was looking at Canelo, and he was sensing, he was looking at he was looking at his body movement. Crawford, if he sensed that, because he hit
but
Canelo with a nice shot, but Canelo legs were still there. I think, I think he would have took Canelo out
no,
if he
but
felt.
Paul, what I'm saying is this: Crawford fought a disciplined fight.
Hmm.
Crawford did not want to jeopardize getting clipped all for the
Yeah,
sake of being greedy because he
right.
was
I know.
already dominating him.
Right.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
no, I
I
agree.
watched Crawford. I'm
But
telling. I watched Crawford. I know there were multiple moments where Crawford, if Crawford would have just pressed the gas,
mm,
it was a wrap. There was so many moments Canelo looked
you're
away.
right, and I agree
Canelo
with
was in
that.
utter disbelief.
I agree with that, but I do think because I was looking at him. I said Crawford want to go back in there, and like you
Yep,
said,
yep,
he
yep.
was fighting disciplined fight. I said he wants to knock Canelo out.
He wants to go in. Exactly.
But you know he didn't do it. I don't think he felt sorry for him. But I think it's
Well,
like you said.
I'm
I
no.
think he
I
was
think
fight. I think he was
see
fighting a disciplined fight. He didn't want
his
to
corner,
risk.
his
Mm,
corner, his corner. They had a game plan, and the job was to stick to the game plan. And that's what I'm saying. It's like there's the Bomac, the team. They're just different. They approach boxing like it's a damn NBA team scouting report and figuring out who's the most weakest defender on the team. Like they really approach it like that, man. Like it ain't no joke, bro.
hey, I give it up.
Three
I give it
coaches.
up. And you know it's so laid back that you can't really see. You know, on the outside, you can't see the brilliance. You know, with the layers underneath because they've been together so long. You
Yeah,
know, and they just kind of know each other. You know, he go out there and say, you know, certain things that just seem kind of elementary to, you know, if you just hear it by the ear, but they know what they're talking about because they're in the gym together all the time. So they know exactly what they're talking about because they go over certain things every day. They got an inside knowledge to each other. So on the outside, it don't sound like Bomac be giving him the best advice in other fights, but they know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And it's because
you're
I'll sit there and listen. Hey man, you know, don't let them outwork you. Don't let them do this. Don't let them do that. They know what they're talking about because they work on it in the gym. And, when he,
you're Bomac told him. Bomac said, "Hey, listen, just don't get in no firefight with him. Just keep turning him. Keep turning him." And Crawford was
uh-huh.
like, okay. Crawford was like, yeah. Crawford went right back to the game plan because he saw Crawford wanting to get into that firefight, and we saw moments of it. And tell me, when you saw those moments, boy, it was
Yeah, he
straight
did.
vicious, boy. 4 punch
Man,
combinations.
I'm gonna tell you
Oh
something.
my God.
I was pissed with myself. I was pissed with myself because, you know, I don't like Crawford. But when that
Yeah, I know.
motherfucker went in there and did that 4-piece combination, I was like, oh my God, this bitch nice. I was like, oh my God, this
Listen, he
motherfucker here.
is there you go. That's what happened to me. I mean,
I was
I'm a
like, this
Crawford fan.
motherfucker,
I'm a
when
Crawford
he,
fan, and I was still in awe of just the pocket work. Man, so
yes,
people don't realize what they were looking at, bro.
bro, no, I saw him post up. He framed up the motherfucker with his elbow and he let him get off because
Yep.
he know he's slow and he's slow and he don't bring his hands back. Boy, Crawford hit him with about goddamn 4 or 5 combinations when he did that shit. He posted him up with his right hand
Yep.
and he just hit him and then he knocked him back. I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker nice, bro. He did
Nah, that was
Spence like that. He did Spence like that.
exactly.
He did Spence like that.
And
I was
it's
like,
total
oh
shot.
my God.
Yo, Canelo was in absolute disbelief. Out of Canelo's mouth, he said, "I did not have an
What's up?
answer."
What's up? Who's real? Long time no see, bro. Who's real? Yeah, yeah. He shook the world up. That inside shit, but that's my shit there though, bro.
Oh,
When he
really?
when he started when he showed Canelo that I will bang with you.
Yep.
Um, um, And then when he put Canelo back against the
Uh-huh.
rope when they got tied up, Canelo knew right then. You know how when you size somebody up and you grab their hand and you squeeze their hand and you know they
Yep.
strong. It was kind of like one of them moments. Like he put his back against the ropes, and so Canelo's like, "This motherfucker's strong." It's like this dude, yeah, strong. And I know that's what he be doing when he do that. It's kind of like a size up moment. But then when you're on the inside and this dude is beating you to the punch, he's got an attitude like, you know, I'm gonna beat your ass. You ain't gonna beat my ass. And that's what Canelo ran into. He ran into a brick wall. He ran into resilience that he did like you didn't see that with Callum Smith. You didn't see that with Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see that with none of those guys. That European bum tour he went on, Rocky Fielding couldn't do it. Um, you saw, Danny Jacobs gave him a little bit of a fight. I'm just like, why these guys are not fighting him? Crawford is the guy that went in there and he was able to connect on Canelo. I didn't see no fancy head movement. You remember that fancy head movement he was giving Danny Jacobs and Danny Jacobs couldn't hit. I was like, man, what the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? But Bud went in there and put them paws on him, bro. He put them gloves on, and I was just like, wow, somebody actually tagging Canelo, you know? We didn't see none of that Mayweather head, none of that stuff he learned from Mayweather. And maybe he couldn't do it. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't do it no more. Or maybe he just wasn't motivated, or maybe he just knew that he was a hell of an athlete and he wasn't going to be able to, he wasn't going to be able to raise his game, to meet Crawford on that level. And I tell people all the time, Canelo ain't no knockout artist, bro. He ain't no knockout artist. Crawford know that. His team know that. So I just didn't understand why people was thinking that Canelo's just going to go in there and knock out Crawford. I just didn't understand that. I never, if you look at all my streams, I never thought Canelo was this Mike Tyson type of force. But people always made it that way. They always made it look that way. You know what I mean? That's just the way. I don't know. Boxing is funny like that. Once you start building your reputation and you start building your legend, you know what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden it just has an energy on its own and starts spreading. Oh, Canelo is just this, Canelo shit gold. You know what I'm saying? Canelo has power of Goku. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know where that shit was coming from. I didn't understand it. I was just like, Canelo never been like that. He's never been like that. So where does this come from? But I'm one of the ones that watched him from the beginning. So, you know, I didn't have this crazy idea of who he was. We when I got introduced to Canelo, he lost to Mayweather. Okay. So my first introduction to Canelo was him losing. Okay. Right. That makes sense. So
I get
I
it.
never I never thought the dude was unbeatable. Right. I'm just surprised more people didn't beat him. He never lost a close decision. Right. So I thought Crawford was going to have to come in here and he did exactly what he had to do. He went in there and I thought he dominated a popular champion, undisputed champion. He dominated. But what's really kind of interesting is how Crawford is able to pick off the guys at the end who grab all the belts. That's one thing that kind of irks me about Crawford. That's one thing that's kind of irks me about Crawford. That he's able to come in after somebody then, you know, gathered all the belts.
So so
You know.
so this how I look at that pool.
Mhm.
Personally speaking, is like this. When you know who you are, I just want the best. I don't want to, like, you have some people that don't want to go through all the prelims because it's like
That's
I
like 98% of human beings.
correct, but correct. The difference though, the 98% they can't do it. They're not capable. because when the moment is too big, they can't deliver. I mean, if we see many fighters that get an opportunity, and that opportunity falls to the wayside. That's why I'm saying I don't view Crawford as just the 98%. I view him as something special. And when you know who you are, you don't need all that other extra stuff. Give me the top guy, and I'm gonna show the world. The goal to go fight Canelo. Listen, I'm not a Canelo fan, but at the same time, we're not gonna act like Canelo is just a bum. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality. He's not a bum.
No,
I'm not. Listen, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. I follow you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a Canelo fan. Just to make this clear. I don't like some of them because I believe Canelo is also, benefited greatly from, just movements and some things inflated, and I get it. But the bottom line, though, he's still a top fighter. But for Crawford to go up to even think and to do what he did, I don't care if he didn't go through if he says, listen, give me the guy with all the belts that's at the top, because you got some people like that. You walk into a neighborhood, look, man, let me box. We all, when growing up, man, I always wanted the best basketball player on the court. I always wanted to play against the top person everybody was rooting for. You know what I mean? Right. Give me the top person so I can show you who I am. That's how I view Crawford. And he's delivered every single time. It's the people at the top that show Crawford you don't belong here. And everyone has failed to do that.
So basically, he's the top gun. He's a gunslinger.
Thank you.
And he's looking at, so he's trying to take out the top gunslinger.
There you go, my brother.
You don't have to fight all the gunslingers. You just have to fight the top one.
Whoever the public or the world think is the top, give me that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's cool and all, but if he had that kind of mentality, I don't want to hear the victim shit.
Okay.
Like that's all I'm saying. If that's how you moving, if that's how you moving, I don't want to hear that victim shit, because now I understand that that's how you always was gonna move. Like, I'm not trying to fuck with these peons. I think of myself, I put myself in, a whole nother class. Like, I don't, I'm not really trying to. I could see where I could beat these guys, and what I'm saying, I'm just talking about the mindset. That you really don't have to answer to boxing fans or what they want. But the problem is we're trapped in the traditional trope of boxing, right? We've trapped that where you want to go up through the ranks and we want to see you against certain people, right?
Thank you, Paul.
Paul,
can I give some pushback? Can I give some pushback to that last statement, please?
Yeah.
Because this respect, all due respect, because I don't get on here and start disrespecting people over. No,
what's up, Nadi? I ain't seen you in a long time, bro.
I just seen you been back going live, bro. I'm pulling up on you every time. You my OG. But look, so you could say, oh, take me to the top dog. But if these top dogs been fighting each other, there's a such thing as wear and tear. And there's a such thing as being fresher than everybody. Now, when you just seen him fight Errol Spence and Canelo, it don't matter how much of a fan you are of Crawford. I just heard Canelo give Crawford the utmost respect. And you know what was the realest thing he said in his press conference? He said, man, that boy is bad. He better than Mayweather. And he got everything. And then he said, and I seen where I was supposed to get him and I wanted to get him, but my body said, no, you can't do that. So when I heard him say that, and then I think about Errol Spence, and I think about the wars that them two brothers that brother and that Mexican been in, bruh. And I think about somebody saying that he just get to fight tomato cans and then go see them after they wounded warriors, bruh. Me personally, bro, I can't respect it. It don't matter. Like, and this is his time right now. I'm not taking nothing from him. If you ask me, he's one of the most skilled people I ever seen in my life. But the path that he took to get there, and this whole everybody was ducking him because he decided to stay over there, bro. I don't buy into it. And you was the fresher fighter last night, just like you was the fresher fighter against Errol Spence, because you didn't fight nobody. And this all-time great talk, I don't want to, bro. When you bring up the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the Leonards, the Floyd Mayweathers, they had so many more than 2 fights of significance in their career. I do not get how people is trying to usher him to the top. Because when I hear people and then I think about the Henry Armstrongs and the Willie Peps and
That's
the
who I was
people,
trying to remember. I was trying to remember Henry Armstrong. I
man,
was trying.
pull. When I hear people talk about the GOAT in top 5 and Mount Rushmore for this man that had 2 significant fights and one against somebody that lost twice.
You
And I
got
hear
it. You
y'all say that.
but Naughty, this is what it is. Boxing is changing. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
no,
a
I get it.
traditional. We
Right,
traditional
right.
boxing fans. You got fighters now that can skip the line, bro.
Yeah.
And for we got to change. We got to adapt. You know, one thing about men, you got to adapt, bro, to the times that you're in. And that's something that I realized. I'm a 56-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't adapt to what's going on with technology, it used to be this way. This is the way it used to be. You talk to your boss, you do a good job, and your company appreciates you. No, your company get rid of your ass soon as you violate one policy now. There's no loyalty no more. There's no you came in on time every day for the last 20 years. None of that shit count. You know what I'm saying? Times are changing, bro. You
So you
got to
saying
adapt.
that we need to
So I'm not
you
saying it's a better system, but what I'm looking at is things
Mhm.
changing before our
No,
eyes.
I
People
get
can.
it. I get it. But this
Mhm.
what I'm saying though, Pool. I get that. And I don't have a problem with things changing. I don't have a problem with Crawford having his day in the sun yesterday. I don't have a problem with the significance in which he did what he did at the end of his career with his 2 significant fights. All I'm saying is let's not be a prisoner of the moment and throw away all of these fighters that came up. And do you remember, Pool, when Sugar Ray and them fought? By the time they was 30, 31, they was old.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
was, and why was they old? Because he fought with Fredo Benitez when he was early 20s. Why is these people considered old when they 31 and washed up? Because they did things in a way of this is not football. This is not basketball. This is fighting. So in the fighting game, I have to see you go take your path.
Mhm.
When you get to the end, you realize that the journey was worth more than the destination, right?
Right. Right.
So,
And I
so
feel
when
you.
we
Hey,
You
look
hey,
at
hey.
his journey,
let me tell you
when we
something.
look at
I
his
feel
journey,
you.
I
I
give him
feel you.
credit I give him credit for being from the ghetto. I give him credit for defeating the odds. I love that he's a family man. When it comes to his skill set, man, I promise you, I can't say I know 3, 4 fighters better than him far as his skill set. But when it comes to the career of somebody in the path of least resistance, and the way you stepped in the ring with them two, Canelo and Spence specifically, I'm talking about they fighting people back to 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 back. And then here you come riding on the horse. I'm got half a leg and half an arm, and you come clean me up, and we finna make you the Jesus Shuttlesworth? No, I'm not doing
Let,
that.
So let me ask
let
you
me
this. So you saying
hold on,
you
hold
saying
on,
he
hold on,
only you
hold on.
saying Crawford only had.
Let
I
me
want to
let
ask
me
him a
let me
question.
let me say that this is one of my people. Let me
Mhm.
tell you like this. Would you rather fight Lamont Roach, who gave you issues, or would you rather fight Jake Paul, who's okay? You might make $4 million for fighting Lamont Roach, or would you rather fight for $40 million fighting this bullshit fight over here with Jake Paul? Which one would you do as a fighter with your career, Natty?
Me personally?
I'm
Yeah,
talking
you
about
mean
listen to the situation and be real.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you in it,
No, I am. And I
mhm.
understand that the money is greater, right? But the
No,
way
but think about it. We talk about generational wealth. You got
yeah, yeah,
fighters
yes, we
who
are, we
fought
are,
those
but
fights. Listen, hear me out.
the way
Hear
I'm
me out. Hear
wired,
me.
Pooh.
Hear
Okay,
me out,
all right,
Dottie.
I'm listening.
You got fighters who fought just like we talked about, like we like it, and
Hmm.
they ended up with nothing in the end. right?
Correct.
They fought
Correct.
all through the ranks. They did the boxing sports thing. Now these fighters today, they get to fight one fight, bro,
Right.
for mega money.
Right.
So $20 million. They ain't got to fight no more. So
Right.
your whole family generation is secure. So no matter what happens, if you take that one extra punch fighting all these tough guys, you could be like Glenn McClellan. You could be
Right.
like some of these guys who are jacked up, and then you what? Guess what? You ain't got no more income coming in.
Right.
So look at it from that point too.
I
Now,
am. I
now
am.
these guys got the opportunity to have access. Now they done been fighting all their life. They've been fighting the
Right.
amateurs. They've been fighting Golden Gloves. They've been, all this. Now they get the opportunity, and I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But we want them to do the traditional thing. But the traditional thing is not paying them the money a Jake Paul is, or skipping to fight in the big events. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, I don't know
Mhm.
how much. I think it was like 50 million. They said Crawford was getting paid to fight Canelo, 20 million to fight Spence. You know what I'm saying? Where if he
Yeah.
would have fought a Thurman, you know what I'm saying, he might have made 4 million, five, maybe even a little more. But look how
Right.
much money he got to skip. It's,
Right.
it's that's our fault. It's our fault that these guys get to be paid like this now for skipping
Right.
the line and
Right.
fighting just a bit price. That's our fault. But boxing is changing.
Yeah. And
It's no
I
longer
understand.
a sport. It's an event. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's what I'm trying to get you to see.
Yeah. You try
We
to say
can't.
play the game for what it's worth, because at the end of the day,
Well,
ain't no
what I'm
insurance.
saying is, boxing games change. It ain't no
Right.
longer, people. If you got the power and you got the cachet now, you can skip the line. You could do what you want to do. Mayweather didn't need the belts no more. You know what I'm saying? At a certain, but he hadn't already put in for his career. He didn't already did the traditional thing. He fought a lot of the people we want to see him fight.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and even when he became Money Mayweather, he fought competitive fights. So that
Right.
was Mayweather. So it
I,
changed the
I,
game. Now people can make so much more money than going through the grinder. Spence went through the grinder for us. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Even though he didn't take care of the things he needed to take care of, he did it the traditional way. And that's
Right.
why he's so beloved. But
Right.
some people, they're up on another path. You
Yeah.
know, it's always that one guy that you can't do what he do. You know what I'm saying? He comes at the right time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He comes during the right time, and all the hard work. You could be working for a job for 20 years. There's a motherfucker come behind you and he gets that promotion. You know what I'm saying? He don't know half the shit you know. You even got to train him on some shit. But you know what I'm saying? He becomes the CEO of the company from the damn coming from a janitor. And it's just that's the way boxing is going. Motherfuckers just came during the right time. It's Crawford's time. It's his time to
It
get all
is.
the benefits. It's his time. He just came at the right time.
I don't
It's
have no problem with that. Paul, see the thing about it, I don't have no problem with that. I actually don't think he skipped no line. I don't have a problem with how things happen, even though I feel
hmm
like he didn't challenge himself to that to the he didn't challenge himself the traditional way. I don't have a problem with him getting the Spence
hmm
fight or the Canelo fight. I don't have a problem with him winning. I don't have a problem with us saying that his skill set and all of that you want me to tell you something about Crawford, man, that I learned about him because I'm not a fan of his, but I respect certain things, right?
hmm
Crawford, he gonna get in that ring and he gonna box you. But what I respect so much about him is his pride. He not just gonna box you, he gonna stand there and whoop your ass a little bit too, man. Not even a little
hmm
bit. He gonna whoop your motherfucking ass. And he gonna box. When it come to him in the ring, I have no complaints. I have no.
hmm
I would him in the ring. You put that mouthpiece in. You put him in there, and then you ask me a question about him. You're not gonna hear. You're gonna hear me with eat a glue sandwich because I'm not gonna say nothing. But that's not my point. My point
hmm
is yesterday was his day. This is his time. I respect it, and that's cool. But we're not, I cannot look at him as what they trying to, this narrative that they trying to push to me, like he's better than all of these people that did it the traditional way and got a lot of accolades too. I cannot do that because I've seen them in fights. For example, my son is a Crawford fan, and before the fight, he was like, "Man, I don't know what's gonna happen." Just like the Earl Spence fight, this the first time, Daddy, I'm like watching these fights, and I don't know he gonna whoop a nigga ass. Man, do you know how many fights when Errol Spence came back and fought Garcia, when Sugar Ray fought Hagler, when all of these different fights where people have multiple fights where we don't know what's finna happen and we on the edge of our seats, and that's what we want as fans, and that's what they do as a man. He never did that for me until these last two fights that I give him credit for, but I'm not ushering him to the top of the all what Mount Rushmore, and I know 20 fighters that I could put in front of him. 20.
And let me ask you this: you think Crawford is the best fighter of this era? If you don't think that, who you think is the best fighter of this era? Since Mayweather was the best fighter of the era when he defeated Pacquiao, that's what
That's
that fight
that's not
represents.
that's that's not
Who
what
do
he
you
talking
think is the
about.
best fighter? I understand. He said he's talking about the accolades, and he don't think he got 2 significant wins. I don't agree with that. I think he got more than 2 significant wins.
I mean,
But what I'm
he
asking,
did, but this is what I'm talking about the path, right? So you go
mhm.
fight Canelo, you have 0 belts. You fight one fight and now you're undisputed. So now we get to talk about you being undisputed, but you fought one fight. When you went and fought Errol Spence, you had one belt, and you let that man collect all the belts. Now we are men. We understand if I come
Yeah, but you
fight you
understand what
and
you understand at 140 what it was at 147. He was, he chose guarantee over eat what you kill the PBC way. That's basically what happened with him. He was over there with Top Rank, who had an exclusive deal with ESPN, so he couldn't get none of the fighters over there with the PBC. The
who fought?
PBC
So
had
who
all
fault
the
was
top
that?
welterweights.
Who fault
That
was
was
that?
his fault. That was his fault, especially
Okay,
on the second
okay,
contract.
okay.
He chose guarantee over eat what you kill.
See, now
That's
that's
pretty much
your
put him out.
opinion. My
And he
opinion is
no
he
no
hid
no.
over there.
I'm telling you what he did. I'm telling you, this came out his
That's your
mouth.
opinion.
He said he trusted what Bob Arum said. Bob Arum told him he was going to be able to get him the Errol Spence fight. He's going to be able to
Right.
get them the fights with the top fighters over there in the PBC. That's one of the reasons why he fell out with Bob
So
Arum and
so so let
left
me
in a
tell you
bad
this,
way.
man. All right, so let me tell you this. How can Bob Arum tell me anything in 2018 if he's suing Al Heyman at the same time, bro? He can't see. I'm not one of them niggas you could just say, "Hey, man,
He
I'm gonna
signed.
get you
What
this."
he had a contract with Top Rank. That's what I'm telling you. He
No,
signed a
no, I
contract with Top
understand that,
Rank.
but when it was time to sign the contract, Bob Arum was in the middle of suing that man. So if I'm a fighter and I'm like, I want to fight these niggas over here, and you like, oh yeah, nigga, I can get you these fights. I'm gonna pick up that you really just trying to sign me because if you taking this man to court, why in the fuck am I gonna think he finna sit down and do business with you?
Yeah,
I'm
he
I,
wanted.
I'm just
Like I
saying. I'm
say,
just saying the logistics.
he chose the guarantee over eat what
Yeah,
you kill the PBC way.
I do.
And another thing, the
Look,
PBC they didn't even recognize the WBO bill. They wouldn't even put the WBO up on their program when they had fights up. They didn't even recognize that bill. So it was obvious that the belt he had they didn't even respect. They didn't even really want that fight. So like I said, he chose to
I
go with the
mean,
guarantee over that.
that's
So
your
that's one
opinion.
thing. And then he was over there
That's your
with
opinion.
Ty Rank, who had an exclusive deal
what?
with ESPN. I
But they didn't
understand
have no
all that. But
welterweights.
for
But
you
they
to
didn't have
say
no
that he
But
only
my
welterweights.
got, for
thing
you
is
to say
this.
he
Hold
only,
on.
can I talk? Can I talk? I'll let you talk. Let me talk. For you to say he only got 2 significant wins, I beg to differ. He beat Victor Postal, who was an undefeated
Trash.
champion at 140, undefeated,
Trash.
Beat Lucas Matisse,
Trash.
beat him, stopped him, beat Gamboa when Gamboa was undefeated. Went over there and beat Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns was a champion. Went over there to the UK, which ain't easy to do. Errol Spence went over there to the UK and beat Kell Brook. Go over there, fly on a plane, and go over there and fight guy in his backyard in front of his
Trash.
fans. That's not easy to do for your
Trash.
first world title. Went over there and beat him. He's got some quality
Trash.
wins.
Now
He
let me tell
beat
you something.
Ricky Hag. I mean, he beat the boy from Australia, Jeff
Now let me tell
Horn,
you
who
something.
had just got
Let me
through coming off a win over Manny Pacquiao. He got some good wins in there. Beat Felix
now let
Diaz.
me
I
tell
don't
you
know if
something
you know
about
who
them
Felix
same
Diaz
fighters.
was. Felix Diaz was a guy that I think did he beat Lamar Peterson?
Trash.
He's got some good wins.
Trash. No,
You
he
got some
didn't.
good wins.
No, he
You're
didn't.
an
No,
Errol
he
Spence
didn't.
Jr. fanboy. So you
No,
saying
I'm not. I'm
trash,
not.
but you look at the
See, you getting
resume,
sensitive,
Victor
bro. We
Postal
having
was
a
an
boxing
Hold
undefeated
on,
conversation and you
champion.
getting
hold on,
sensitive.
Now, why
Now
aren't
hold
it's
you
on,
my
talking
turn
guys.
to
while I'm
talk.
talking, though? I'm talking. I
Huh?
let you talk, but soon as I
Hold
talk,
on,
you want to
guys.
run your
Hold
mouth.
on,
Let
Nah,
me
hold
cause
on,
talk.
now you
guys.
being sensitive, nigga, and you
Hold
calling
on,
niggas out
Now, I
their
ain't
KB.
getting
name,
sensitive.
nigga. You
I
little
let you
boy,
talk.
nigga.
So you don't want to get
You
sensitive because you
talk,
trying to
bro.
talk when
You
I'm trying to
talking
talk.
boxing? You
KB.
talking
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
boxing? And
talking
you
KB.
call
boxing.
me
You
out my
hate.
name, bro.
You come over here saying the guy got 2
Both of
significant
y'all
wins.
out of
You
order
sound like
right
a
now.
casual
Both of
boxing
y'all,
fan.
both.
I
Hold on,
don't
both
even
of
know
Uh,
y'all
you,
out
bro.
of
I ain't
both
said
of
nothing
y'all
to
out of
you.
order right now. Both of y'all out of
hey,
order.
let me silence both of y'all real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because we're
Y'all out of
going back
order.
to 2018. I just silenced both of y'all so y'all can hear me. You know what I'm saying? This ain't even necessary, y'all. Y'all going back to 2018 and stuff, and you know what I'm saying? We've argued this many times on this channel, so all that's unnecessary because we could end up at the same space. So I want to get Dub right side, you know what I'm saying, in here. Nadi, me and you are more online with everything. But I understand, you know what I'm saying, about Crawford resume. It's always gonna be, Crawford is better than his resume. Let's just put it that way. Let's dead all that because we arguing over stuff that we've been arguing for 5 or 6 years. So let's get Dub right side and Bobby up in this thing. Let's get Dub in first. You
Let
know
me
what I'm
say,
saying? What's going
hey
on,
man,
Dub?
man. First thing, shout out to my brother Paul County in the building, man. You know I've been
What's
missing you, my
going on?
brother.
Respectfully,
You know it ain't nothing
respectfully.
but love and respect. Shout out to my brother Nardi. You know what I'm saying? I believe is that Coach Eddie? I might be wrong. Is that Coach Eddie? Or is that
No,
Rick?
that's a JB. That was JB and Noddy.
That's
Okay,
You and
my
JB
bad,
Noddy.
my
Sports.
bad.
Yeah,
I'm out of
JB
order.
Sports.
I'm out of order. I apologize to you, my brother.
Yeah, JB Sports. How's it going, man?
But this is the thing. And at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that Bud made bad business decisions early in his career. The man just went out there and put on a masterclass against Canelo. He put on a masterclass against EJ, and I picked him to lose both of them fights. And my thing is at some point in time we just have to give his brother credit. It damn his resume because when he get into these big fights, he go out there and he show his ass. That's what he been doing. And so I have to give this man all the credit in the world. Me and PCB, we done talked about this so many times as far as the same things, resumes and all that. But when it come down to it, when he got into the ring with individuals we would consider credible, he put hands on them. So I can't sit here and, man, your resume is what your resume is. And does Bud have the best resume? No, we done already discussed that. But his last two victories are some of the most high quality victories we've seen in recent times in the sport of boxing. And so I have to give that man credit. And at the end of the day, man, shout out to Bud. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him because I didn't see no, I didn't, the performance he put on the other night, I didn't see it happening. I didn't see none of that happening. And he proved me absolutely wrong. And the way he was able to go in there, catch, counter, you know what I'm saying? Even in the post conference, he talking about. I was thinking Canelo was landing some good body shots. He was like, "No, I'm catching him on the elbows. If anything, my elbows hurt." Man, give that brother credit. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of it, man, it was a fantastic fight. Um, I don't think anybody asked for it, but when we finally got it and seeing what Bud was able to do coming up two weight divisions, really three in my personal opinion. I don't count Madrimov, but that's just me. But okay, we'll say two. Him coming up and doing what he did. No, he didn't. He did not collect the belts in any division. Single. He didn't go grab each one, but he went and beat the best fighter in each division that he fought in, whether we're talking about EJ or we talking about Canelo. And the man made it look easy in both fights, in my opinion. He made it look easy. So we have to give this man credit for at least, I heard a lot of folks tell me this was a money grab. Well, okay, if you want to say he was getting paid good for it, he went out there and whooped the dude. He whooped this dude. And Canelo made more money than Bud did. So was it a money grab for Bud? Was it a money grab for Canelo? Y'all tell me. I'm going to have these arguments later on. But all I'm saying, we have to give this man credit because at the end of the day, I love the sport. And the master class that man put on was very impressive to me. I didn't see it happening nearly how it happened. But I have to, man, shout out to Bud, man. He a hell of a fighter. In my personal opinion, the best of his era between him and Usyk. I don't put Floyd in their era. You know what I'm saying? I think Floyd is a tad bit. He's an era ahead of Bud and Usyk. But outside of them two guys, ain't nobody did it like him. And I got to give them brothers credit, man.
Let's go with Bobby. Let's go ahead, Bobby. Get it in, man.
Yeah, I gotta say that I think that a lot of people are getting ahead of themselves, putting him top five all-time great just because of this victory, and I think it is a questionable victory if you really look back at how bad Canelo looked against School. You got to really sit back and see how Crawford looked against Madrimov, and then look at how Canelo looked against School. And we're gonna see how good Crawford is when he steps up and fights somebody better at this weight or at 160. I don't know when or who's he gonna fight next, but we're gonna really see who he is because this dude Canelo looked horrible against School, and you can't forget that. You got to take that into account. Stop buying all this hype with this Canelo dude because he's been looking horrible in his fights, and that's really want to say like sit back, don't buy all this hype, and just go. I mean, Crawford's a good, he's the good fighter, but it's questionable. Some of these victories, his resume is a little questionable, and I you got to just sit back and just judge him for that Madrimov fight, and also judge Canelo for how horrible he looked against School.
Is EJ resume questionable?
The guy was coming off what is it, that injury or whatever he said, he was an almost near death.
It's a yes or no question. Is his resume questionable? Yes or no?
Yeah, I don't think he. I
So
don't think
so y'all, and this is what y'all do to boxers these days. Hence the reason the sport
so.
done
Look,
moved away. Hold on, you can't. Everybody resume can't be questionable. Just because I go
we're in a
and beat
weak era of
somebody.
boxing. We're in a
Okay.
weak era of boxing.
So you just want to say that boxing in itself is questionable. So that forget who wins in the sport. Forget that. Everybody, because boxing is weak right now, everybody resume questionable. Correct.
Correct.
All right. If that's what you want to live by, I just don't understand if you understand how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah, because you can only fight the guys in your era. You can't do nothing about Ali fighting Norton and Foreman and Frazier. Those great era, golden era heavyweight division. Wilder can't do nothing about that. AJ can't do nothing about that. Just like in the welterweight era, you had Sugar Ray, you had Duran, you had Hearns. Crawford can't do nothing about that era. Errol Spence Jr. can't do nothing about that era. You only can fight the guys in your era. And he's dominated the guys in his era, Crawford. When he's got
Do you
those
do you
top
think
guys,
Crawford would have
he's
beat
put
up
on
prime
great
Oscar De
performance.
La Hoya?
Hold on. I think the problem is because the guys like Crawford, you know, when they couldn't get the opportunities, they ended up like Aaron Pryor. You know, Aaron Pryor, you know, was one of them guys like Crawford, you know what I'm saying, had this crazy ability to beat the top guys. You know what I'm saying? He was just a wrecking machine. But then he would just fall by the wayside and you never hear from him again. But Crawford was able to find backing because Crawford was supposed to fall through the cracks. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get the right backing, you know, at one time, but he kept at it. And somehow he found the Turk, and the Turk got him over the hump, and he was able to skip. Had the power to fight Errol Spence Jr. to make the Errol Spence Jr. fight. He had the power to make the Canelo fight. And see, that's the difference why boxing is changing because the guys who actually got talent uh, to uh, to perform in the ring. I mean, Bud has a ability to fight. He has a gift. You know, some fighters like Floyd, they have a gift. You know what I'm saying, to fight in the ring and to think boxing. And I think that Crawford, he didn't fall between the cracks. He found the right people he needed to find to keep his career, going forward.
But it had a
And
lot to do with his skill, PCB. It had
no,
everything
I
to do with
mean,
his
people,
skill.
it's a lot. I'm not saying it ain't had nothing to do with the skill. I just said that the man has a gift for fighting in the ring. I just said that, but it
So,
takes more than that. It takes
so
more than that. What?
well, so I guess the other brother was saying something about Oscar De La Hoya. Well, and then I'll go. What was you saying about Oscar De La
No, no.
Hoya?
Yeah.
But
So you
let me
think?
finish. Let me finish my point, though.
Okay, go
My
ahead. My
point.
bad.
Let me finish my point. My point is that Crawford. Like I said, this is his time, man. He um he didn't fall through the cracks. You know, what I'm saying he was able to do exactly what he wanted to do. He didn't have to run through the grinder, and that gets on a lot of people's nerves. Was happening in boxing today, the change. You know what I'm saying? That don't take away from Crawford's skills and despite his resume. You know what I'm saying? The man can fight. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? If you could pass the test without showing the work, if you can do algebra equations, calculus equations without showing the work, you know what I'm saying? But you understand it. And that's what Crawford is. He's a phenom that if you give him the opportunity, you know what I'm saying, he's going to be able to beat you if you can't outwork him, if you can't outthink him in the ring. He just needs the opportunity. And the problem is he didn't with boxing fans is that he didn't do it the way we think he should have done it, like the regular boxing way. And I think we got two sides clashing about it. It ain't about his skills. It ain't about everything he does in the ring. It's just that he skipped the line. There's just a lot of people in 168 he didn't fight. They didn't get the opportunity. David Benavidez didn't get the opportunity to fight Canelo, to beat Canelo the way uh, Bud is beating him right now. David Benavidez had to fight a lot of guys at 168. He had to fight a lot of guys, right? So a lot of people are pissed about that, right? So he gets to go in there and gets the glory from
But
3
but
weight
PC
classes down. Just hear
but
me
PCP.
out. Hear me out.
Hold on, real quick. If I have the math champion that was in, and like you brought up the math situation, if I'm going against the math champion, the one that then beat everybody in math, and then I go out there, I ain't never showed my work as far as doing it, but I can do the math in my head, and then I go and body that individual as far as being the math champion. That's still the math champion, right?
But that what I just said, Dub, we're
No,
not taking away from his skill and his ability in the ring. It's about how he's able to
So
get there. And that's the
I
changing
think
of
I think
boxing.
I think we all get that. I'll give a better analogy though, right?
Hmm.
So I okay, like let's use a person that is a lawyer. You can
Hmm.
go to law school and get a Juris Doctorate. That's 4 years in law school. Come out, take the bar, and now you are an attorney that can litigate in a courtroom. That's one route. You also have a route that if you are smart enough, you can skip law school, go directly and take the bar and become a lawyer based on certain states that allow it. After you do that, they're both attorneys litigating. No one looks and says, well, you didn't go through 4 years of law school. No, you are an attorney. You can litigate. You pass the bar. You pass the test that actually stamps you as an attorney. Outside of that, you just hold a Juris Doctorate, which is a law degree. You're not an attorney. You just have a law degree. And that, to me, that's the example that I'm looking at. Is
But if I whoop, but by doing that, if I'm the individual that doesn't go to law school, go past the bar, become an attorney by passing the bar, right?
Yeah.
And then I whoop somebody who
Yeah.
in court, speaking on court. If I
Yeah.
whoop somebody there that went up against some of the best,
Correct.
well, wait a minute, what am I then?
No, that's what I'm with you. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just using. I'm agreeing. I'm just using that as an example so that there's like people get caught up on.
Well, I think the problem is y'all forgetting that we're skipping the tradition of how we seen boxing work over the years, and what we're seeing is a changing, and people are trying to adjust to this change of seeing guys like Crawford, skip the line and stuff. We've used to seeing guys, go through the ranks. He fought one fight at 154. Then this ain't no hating. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? He fought
But
one.
full counter. But see, you're not
Yeah,
factoring
stop
politics
before
though.
you're not responding before you listen to the point because you're thinking you know where I'm going, but you don't. What I'm saying is I understand that boxing is changing and people got to get out the mindset of the traditional way is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Y'all think I'm thinking it should have been that way, but it's hard to stop. If boxing been going in a linear way where you got to fight the number one contender, you know how boxing works. But then now you got guys who are super talented, you know what I'm saying? And they can get the fights that they want just because they're good enough to get the fights and they're talented enough to win the fight. Then that's going to change the landscape of boxing, is what I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? And then we got the old heads over here who don't respect it because your climb wasn't legit. If you can do it, you can do it, right? That's your mindset. If you can do it, go ahead and do it, right? You know what I'm saying? You can make the fights, you can get the big fights, go ahead and make that happen. But what I'm saying is that, we need to see the work. You know what I'm saying? Go to 154, go ahead and knock out at least a couple of people there before you
Right.
move up. Go fight one person
Right.
at 168. We getting out of
Come
that
on, man.
mindset.
But
That's
but
all
we
I'm
also
saying.
but we
Come on,
also
man.
understand that even today, right? The way that, and I got a 10-year-old, so the way that they look at things, they look at me. I'm Unc now. I didn't even know I was Unc. Respect. I'm just telling the truth. But my thing is so if they able, because you're gonna have one or two things happen. Either, and I'm gonna just use the law school example. If you go to law or if you go to law school and then go to the bar, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be in court. If you don't go to law school but you pass the bar, you're gonna be in court. And if you get whooped and it's only a handful of guys that's gonna be able to go and pass the bar, that's gonna go out there and actually win
Case.
court cases. Whereas the majority, they're gonna end up getting whooped in court cases because I have more knowledge than you. I have a better foundation than you. But there are those individuals that are quote unquote special. And I think Bud is one of those individuals. He's just special like that.
The way I look at it,
I do think that there will be other guys that try to do it the way Bud did it, and they'll go get whooped.
the way I ain't gonna lie, bro. The way I look at it, you know, I know whoever that was got frustrated with what I was saying, but at the end of the day, when the dust settles, whoever's standing there with the flagpole is that guy, right? Now, the thing that Poole is explaining is if when the dust is dusting up, if somebody ain't in the dust, right, and then when it starts to settle and they come clean everything up, that's the new way of how things is going. When we
Yeah,
looking for somebody to be there at the beginning when ain't no dust there, and then everybody start dusting it up. Now that's the way we look. And to answer your question earlier, when you had asked me who era is this, whoever that was that called me a fanboy, I do believe that this is the dust is settled. And he there standing. This is him, and it's out of him and Usyk. But to be honest, after that win, I will get a slight edge to him. Well, to be honest, no, he fought Fury twice. But at the end of the day, yes, this is one of his errors. My whole point, see, this is what I be talking about when niggas get sensitive over a man, bro. If you
Well,
just
I just give
listen
you my
to it,
opinion. Give my
but
opinion. You
it, no,
you
no,
you
no,
cut me
but you
off while I
call
was
me out
trying to
my
talk.
name.
No, that
No,
was the
but you
problem.
call
When I
no,
was talking, like I'm letting
no,
you
but you
talk, I
call
was
me
trying
out
to
my
talk. You
name
cut me
though.
off.
yeah. Hey,
But you
y'all
call
ain't too far
That's
off.
all I was
Y'all ain't
saying.
too far
Let a
off.
man talk. Let a man get his
but see,
opinion off. Don't try to
but
cut him
see,
off. That's all I was
no,
saying.
but you called me out my name. That's all I was telling you. Ain't have to do
Hey,
that.
y'all ain't even
Go ahead,
on.
man. Go ahead. Go ahead with your
Yeah,
point, man.
yeah,
You
yeah,
obviously an Errol Spence fan. That's obvious. But go ahead,
No,
man.
I'm a fan of the sport, my boy.
Yeah,
I'm a
okay. You a
fan of the
fan
Let
of the
sport.
sport. Oh, I'm
You
a
let
fan of
me
the
can't tell me
sport.
what I
let me
am
know
Go
when I
because
ahead.
can
where you
talk,
being
Paul.
sensitive. Now you
Go
cutting
ahead,
me
man.
off.
Go
I
ahead.
can't
Go ahead.
talk.
You emotional, man. Go ahead.
Hello,
Go
but
ahead.
No,
y'all just
Let
I'm
roughly.
talking, bro.
Let
let
me
me know when
mute
I can
both
talk,
of y'all.
Paul.
Now,
I'm gonna mute both of y'all. You know, y'all really ain't saying nothing to y'all just kind of ruffled each other's feathers. But all I'm saying is that we got to get used to certain fighters who are not on the path, on the traditional path. That's all I'm saying. And we got to get used to boxing change. You got Tank fighting Jake Paul. A lot of things ruffle my feathers, but we don't control the industry, right? And people are not doing things the traditional way anymore. That's all I'm saying, man. It's like people trying to make this, calculus and all this saying all this other stuff. Yeah, we happy for Bud. He did it in an untraditional way because he had the talent to do it, right? And he went and represented, and he came from the way where he came from. He did a really, really, bang up job, reaching the top. You
I
know what
want
I'm
to
saying? And
respond to you, Paul.
okay, all right,
Let me
and
know when I can respond to you. That's all.
okay, and all I'm saying is that it's going to be hard for traditional boxing fans to get out of the way things used to be. We just got events now. Big events, and the promotion is changing. The PBC just went kaput. Trying to hang in there, and things are just changing so fast. But we're still holding boxers to the same standards. You know what I'm saying? And it's just changing so fast. So, for Crawford to jump up there, and he did a bang up job. He would give him his credit, but he jumped over on other 168 pounders and stuff like that. That way of doing business is over. David Benavidez didn't get his chance. You know what I'm saying? But we can't think like that no more. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
but
Because that's not the way boxing works anymore. So,
Do you think this?
all I'm telling y'all is that, you could say what you want to say about what Crawford did and everything, but he was able to do something that most fighters can't do. So he was able to get an opportunity that most fighters don't get. You know what I'm saying? And I'm happy for him. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for him, but don't dismiss what these other guys are telling you. They're just trying to tell you,
that's
like,
all.
bro,
That's all I was saying, and I keep getting cut off and timed out and that's all I said.
yeah, don't get it twisted, what I'm saying? But traditional boxing is kind of dying now, and I'm just watching it and I'm just trying to understand it because there's just so many different promoters coming in, different rules, Politics is changing. You know what I'm saying? So we on these YouTube streets arguing all these cases, and they don't apply anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because boxing has changed in such a dramatic way, and I'm happy for Crawford. I'm just trying to learn how things are going now. Um, you know, so let 444 go in. You know what I'm saying, on what
Well,
I just respond
well,
to whatever I was just
I-
saying. Go ahead.
well, I'm well. There's two things. Number one, politics have always existed in boxing.
Yeah.
Fighters being avoided has always existed in the realm of boxing. So you guys are referencing things like grinder. You guys are referencing things like, when the dust settles. The problem is that a lot of fans are uneducated about the vast amount of boxers and their talent. See, the problem is that certain boxers get marketed and promoted, and we think that they are the all and end all. And so when we hear boxers like a Bakram that comes out and just destroys Tim Tszyu, everybody's like, "Whoa, where does this guy come from?" This guy, and then we hear that he's being avoided. See, someone like a Bakram that nobody knows can easily fall by the wayside. The problem is that because you guys fail to really understand the resume of boxers, but you only know the resumes of the ones that you like, you put you put that on a pedestal and you diminish the talent of other boxers that you may not know. But that's your lack of knowledge. So when the brother comes on here and says things like, pretty much what he's alluding to is that the two best boxers that he fought was Errol, or the most notable, most known, pretty much popular is Errol and Canelo. Discounting all the other boxers. The dude has 40 something fights. To
Okay,
sit
I'm,
here
I'm
and
gonna respond to you after you're
hold
done.
on, don't cut me off. Let me finish, bro. To
No, I'm just
sit
telling you, I'm gonna
here,
respond to
I
you. You
got you.
talk
No
about me.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
To
Okay.
sit here and to imply that he fought a bunch of nobodies or tomato cans or whatever, you just did it in a very nice way. That's what you're saying. It's just blasphemy. It's just ridiculous. And that's the problem with boxing today. Marvelous Hagler left boxing because of the corruption. You're you don't think that Crawford was avoided? Then we want to talk about the business decision. That's y'all opinion. You tell me, if I have the ability, you're gonna work a job and you got an opportunity to make guaranteed money versus back end money. What you gonna take? You're gonna take guaranteed money. And those that's gonna tell me, no, I'm gonna do the work and I'm gonna hope that I'm gonna get XYZ in the back end. You know how many issues there were with the back end money? I know fighters with PBC that had issues with pay, issues with money. They're not gonna talk about it. So once again, it's another thing that has nothing to do with boxing. Why are we having discussions about business decisions? Why are we having discussions about how much money this person got? The bottom line is this. He couldn't get the fights because certain fighters would not fight. And they had their reasons not to. Guess what? You making money over with the family? No problem. Do your thing. Keep it in-house. Hey, that's your prerogative. But we're trying to blame him for decisions and the way a promotional company was operating and moving and how they were monopolizing the game at that moment because they controlled the welterweights. And we're going to blame him because Bob Arum didn't want to put Pacquiao in the ring with him. Pacquiao would have fought Crawford. Bob Arum didn't want that. The same way PBC didn't want Errol Spence and one time Keith Thurman fight each other. It's the same game. But we want to act like it's new because Crawford on the turn. No, the bottom line is this. Like you mentioned, he's a phenom. And guess what? He was blessed to not have to go through all that crap and to still show his greatness. And that's just what it is. Mayweather said it best. When you beat one person, they're always always build up the next person to beat you. And
How
that's
do you,
all that. So this brother
Okay.
talk about, okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
No,
how
you
do you
good.
feel?
You good. No, you good. I'm listening to what you're saying, bro. And
No,
we
you
having
good.
a
I'm listening.
box.
You good.
Now we
I'm
having a
quiet.
boxing
But
conversation,
y'all
bro. You was
listen to each other. Listen to each other. Go ahead,
no,
bro.
no. We are Paul. I'm listening to him. I ain't cut him off. I asked for my time. He landed his plane. Now I'm finna say what I got to say. Now, I don't have a problem with majority of the stuff that you just said, but when you try to tell me that somebody resume, because I don't know the boxers, but I do know the boxers, and those boxers only have certain significant wins, if not none. Now, when you talk about people like Jeff Horn with one significant fight before Bud, he went on to get knocked out by Tim Tszyu. When you talk about Ndongo, he got knocked out by Regis Prograis right after that. When you talk about people like Delorme that got knocked out by when they all these people when they up their competition, Benavidez, he got whitewashed by Danny Garcia. Ndongo got knocked out by Regis Prograis. Ricky Burns got double-digit losses for a career. So you saying we don't know? I'm sorry, I don't know these people, and I'm telling you, bro, I do research and I look into all of this stuff. These people are not good. Mean Machine had no significant wins, bro, and then he went on to get knocked out by Virgil Ortiz. So when you talk about these people that he fought, that I'm supposed to not know who they are, which I do, and I'm telling you, they had no significant wins, and then they went on right after him to get knocked out. Now, typical thing you're gonna say is he hurt them and changed the trajectory of their career, but that's not true because it was the same story with all of them. Now, back to what was the other point I wanted to rebut? You said the thing about the resume, and then you said oh man, it was a strong point, but it was about something I said. What was it? It was the
Well,
resume.
real
Then it
quick,
was the
Nardi.
business decision. Hold on. Let me.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
want to.
Go
I
ahead.
want to lose my train
Go
of thought.
ahead.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. So you said we was talking about the business decision, right? But if we go down the history of boxing, right? Mayweather, Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya, Mikey Garcia, Manny Pacquiao. There are so many examples of people, Anthony Joshua, who was with a promotional company, and then they seen that the fights wasn't there, and then they went to the other promotional company to get the fights, right? So while I do understand what you're saying about the guaranteed money, I listen. So like I can understand where you're coming from with that. But from if there's too many examples of people who were in situations that wasn't good for their legacy that made the move. Even he made the move eventually. Devin Haney made the move. Shakur is making the move right now. So how, when it gets to him, do we say, okay, this dude gets a pass because he's Bud? I'm
No,
gonna land my plane right there.
it's
I'm
not.
gonna
It's
land my
not a.
plane right there. Go ahead.
But it's not a pass because he's Bud. It's a pass because and you want to call it. You could call it a pass. And I agree with everything you just said. Looking at the resumes, looking at the old school guys, I agree with you. My thing is this man went out and fought the best guys of the current moment in time.
But
Those are the guys that he beat, and because he beat them the way he beat them, it's not really questionable of how good he is anymore. The
no,
man, hold on, real
no.
quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I'll
ahead. My
let you.
bad. My bad.
The,
Go ahead.
the thing is that because he went, and even if we want to say his resume or he didn't do it the right way, whatever you want to say, I ain't got no problem with it. What we gotta say is that when we thought this man was matched up in a 50-50 fight, right? Matter of fact, I had a 60-40 for Canelo in this fight. When he was matched up in them fights, he put hands on these guys. So it's not about any of that. It's about what he's done. And
Okay.
even if he didn't fight those guys that or come up through the ranks or whatever, I understand that piece of it. But the way that he done went and beat the guys that he done beat, two of the guys that I think I think both are Hall of Famers. I think EJ a Hall of Famer. I think Canelo a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? If you want to name some other guys, I don't think Ricky Burns a Hall of Famer. I don't think Jeff Horn is a Hall of Famer. That's just my opinion.
Now,
But
does
at the
does
end of the day, all I'm saying is when he go and whoop these guys the way that he whoop them, I'm just gonna give him credit. I'm not
no,
gonna sit here and
but
shit
see
on him.
this.
I'm
So,
gonna give
so,
him
so
credit.
let me say this. Let me
But
say
this
this.
the
So,
thing.
does the hierarchy of boxing matter anymore? I mean, the way, the path that you get to the championship, long as you can beat the champion, it don't matter how you get there. Is that what we're saying now?
Styles make
We got
we
no,
understand that
no, no, no,
Styles make.
no. I don't
Oh, go
want to
ahead.
hear no style make fake. What I'm saying is,
Well,
as
fine. I'll
long as
tell
you
you
have
yes,
no,
yes.
okay, that's what I wanted to hear. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
give you a yes or
Not
no.
that you right or
The
Now let me
wrong.
hierarchy,
respond. Let me
the
Now hold
respond to
on,
you,
hierarchy,
hold
Dub.
on, y'all.
the
Not that you
hierarchy
right or
doesn't
wrong.
mean
Long
anything
as you
like it used
have,
to be.
hold on. I don't care if you have like Lomachenko. I had a problem with Lomachenko coming in fighting for the titles, right? And he was cleaning them up because he had the talent, right? But he was getting Lomachenko was getting all these opportunities that other fighters wasn't getting, but he was just racking up shit, right? But and he didn't have but 4 or 5 fights. He was getting championship opportunities and stuff like that. I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that because there was other fighters in line waiting. They didn't have the promotion behind them. You know what I'm saying? But he was good enough. He was Lomachenko. He was the Matrix. And he was coming in, just cleaning up the divisions and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, what is really going on here, man? Why is this guy getting all the opportunities? He's good enough to do it, but he don't have to climb the ranks like nobody else. He gets skipped the line. So it just kind of shows you that the hierarchy really don't matter. It just
But he,
depends on who you with, the
but
politics.
he also lost a lot of those fights when
No,
Lomachenko when he
but that's
moved it.
not what I'm talking about. I'm
But
trying to
that's
get you
what
to
I'm
see.
talking about. That's the difference. That's
No,
what
no,
I'm
I'm not
talking
trying.
about.
But I started this conversation not
My
on
bad. I'm
your
not
point.
over.
I'm
I'm
trying
not
to make
over.
my point.
That'd be crazy.
I'm not on your point. I'm on my point. I'm not trying to dismiss you. I'm trying to define and articulate what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is like when we have these special fighters like this, can special fighters ignore the hierarchy? I'm trying to get to the argument.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Can the special fighters just like fuck the row or whatever weight class? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm this good. You know what I'm saying? Can I just skip everything? Can I just go
Drop
to
me
the
off
head of
at
the
the
But
top.
line? Because
that's what we mean. That's where our arguments are meeting. Because like I'm saying, yeah, you're gonna have certain guys who can do it, but if the hierarchy means everything that you're speaking on, then they get up there and they start to lose fights. Whereas with Bud, the man he going up there still winning fights. So we agreeing.
so is
Like
that makes a difference?
it definitely it definitely makes a difference.
Oh wow.
See, this is a
So
good conversation.
you telling me winning a fight versus losing a fight, and once again we're talking about skipping because I think that's your point. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about skipping.
My point is like you don't have to because you're good enough. Let's say that 'cause I think we're kind of missing each other.
Okay.
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit.
I think we're missing each other. Like Bud had the talent to do it. That's not the point. The point is that now we're seeing that people have the ability to skip the politics. And I know this always been an American way because if you can get rich, you get rich or die trying. You know what I'm saying? If you connect with the right people, you go straight to the top. People praise you. But what about what I'm saying? Boxing, the sport itself. The hierarchy.
So
Having to
let me
fight
ask
the
this
fight.
question.
Let me finish. God damn.
I got to
Dub,
Let
you
me
answer this
out of
finish
order,
the
question.
Dub.
point. Let
I'm
me
out of
finish the
order again.
point.
Dub, you out
My
of order.
apologies.
You
My
know, let
apologies.
me finish the point, Dub.
My
It's like,
apologies.
fighting the number one contender of the IBO, the IBF, you know what I'm saying, the WBA. Just because people see your skill level and that you probably could beat the guy at 175 or the heavyweight champion of the world, that you don't need to go through the hierarchy to get there, or you could just make the fight. Or you could just say, I'm coming from 147. I'm for to fight the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm for to knock out Deontay Wilder. And you go up there and you beat him. You know what I'm saying? And so all these other heavyweights that wanted to get in and get a chance to fight Deontay Wilder, they don't get a chance because now you don't went up there and knocked them out. You done skipped everybody. You know what I'm saying? You skipped everybody from 175. You done skipped everybody from cruiserweight. From
Cruiserweight.
you know what I'm saying? You done skipped everybody because you were good enough from 147 to eat a couple of hamburgers to go up there. You ain't have to go through shit. You know what I'm saying? You get skipped everybody. And I'm saying that's how boxing is changing. You know what I'm saying? We got this
Right.
shit going on where folks can just skip the line. You know what I'm saying? And people are saying, hey, he won. He went up there and beat him. So it don't matter if he won the WBA at 175 at cruiserweight to fight the heavyweight champion of the world. It don't matter no more. The rules don't apply. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that because a lot of people put a lot of time and research into knowing these boxers. It don't mean shit if you could just skip the line and fight the junior 154 pounder because he got a little bit of cachet and he know the right people. He can go up there and fight you can always move up and fight who you want to fight, right?
Yeah.
But just because of your
Yeah.
name cachet, you know what I'm saying, you're able to get it in over other fighters who's put years at that division. And that's the problem that boxing fans are having, because boxing fans, they're very traditional. They know these things. You assume that
Hardcore.
people don't know these fighters, but they do. But that
Oh,
shit don't mean nothing if it's just a circus. If it's just all you have to do is get your name up on social media, know the right people. You know, box rec don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? None of the fighters in your resume don't mean nothing. Fantasy fights don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? You could have a bad fight. You begin a weak era, a weak division, and you might be better than everybody. But because you know the right people, you can move up the ranks. Look at Canelo. Canelo protected himself for many years against fighting the top dudes. He didn't fight the Charlos and stuff. He got the hell on. You know what I'm saying? Went up to 168. They said he cleared out the 168 division. I'm saying it's bullshit. He didn't fight David Benavidez, didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Because he's Canelo. He's good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we're giving exceptions
Yeah.
to the great ones. We're giving exceptions to certain fighters. And it's like, what I'm saying is that boxing ain't boxing no more. It's
Yeah,
just an
yeah, 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 Paul. But we've seen this throughout the history of boxing. Hopkins skipped the
yeah,
line and fought Tarver at 175. Roberto Duran skipped the line and fought Sugar Ray Leonard at 147. We've seen this before. Roy Jones Jr. skipped the line and fought Ruiz at heavyweight. So we've seen this. But when you're a special talent and you're a
yeah.
type of guy that can put on a big event, it's called prize fighting at the end of the day. And you can put on a big event and your skill set, and you're a pound for pound fighter. You've done a lot of great things before. They ain't just letting anybody jump up two-weight classes. It's just a special fighter in special situations that we've seen throughout the history of boxing time and time
Mhm.
again. This is not nothing out the ordinary. That's basically what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying about Canelo at 168 didn't fight Benavidez, but that's on Canelo. Canelo one turned down that fight. So Crawford took
Is that on
opportunity to
Canelo?
jump up weight class. Huh?
Is that on Canelo? Or is that on us for supporting that shit? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
like we are our own worst enemies. When it comes to the fighters that we like and the fighters that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? It's like what I'm saying, we'll make an exception for the special ones. To
See,
move up.
for me, Paul, this how I look at it. Like, all right, I agree with the skipping the line. I actually agree with the dude that was just saying, the special fighters, they
Mhm.
might get, a little special treatment. But my thing is this, right? When you do skip the line and you go up there and you don't go through the ringer, how can I compare? I can compare you peak for peak, but it's hard for me to compare you to somebody, a legend that went through the ringer and got to the top. It's hard for me to put you up there with them. Like, okay, I get it. You skipped the line, you went up there, you beat him. And for everybody saying to me, like, I'm trying to discredit him. If y'all didn't hear my at the beginning when I first started talking, I said he beat them boys, and I give him credit. Yesterday was his day. In top three skill set I ever seen. That's unquestionable for me personally. But like Paul is saying, when you skip the way, it's the way you do things. For me personally, that's what I was trying to explain. I can't speak for everybody, but when I watch somebody do certain things a certain way, take the elevator, like Dub is saying, and then you beat the man at the top. Yes, you beat the man at the top, and I'm gonna give you credit for beating him at the top. But when we talking all time, that's where this bus stops for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
I
reason
don't think he's top five. I said top 20 at the beginning of this podcast. I say he probably top 20, maybe argument for top 10. I wouldn't put him, ahead of Sugar Ray Robinson or nothing like that, but he's definitely with the greats. Where you rank him, that's just, it's all about your opinion, how you see it. But
I would
he's
definitely put him with the greats. I would definitely
Well,
I
put him
well,
would
with
well,
the
well
too.
greats
I
and
would
like
too.
Nardi said, I would have to say I have to agree with Nardi, because one of the things that make you one of the greats, because everybody ain't moved up in weight like Bud has. That does make you great, being able to move up as Bud has. But man, we want to see you fight the top guys as far as your contemporaries go. That's
Mm,
it's about who you fight a lot of times. So
mhm.
I would say that I got Bud somewhere between top 10, top 20, somewhere in there. I can't take I don't got him top 20. You know what I'm saying? I think I think he at least top, I don't know, top 18, 15. It's so many fighters in. I done did this exercise multiple times, but I do think that he's great. What he showed is greatness. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is at the end of the day, it's no reason to sit here and say, because even I look at it like I look at basketball, right? Football, they got the politics out there. You gotta stay 3 years in college before you can go into the NFL. In basketball, they made a rule where you got to stay a year in college. But I remember when LeBron came out, when Kobe came out, when Kevin Garnett came out. But I also remember when some of the other guys came out and their career went to trash. You know what I'm saying? When Darius Miles, that man skipped. He went straight to the league, didn't he? And Darius
right out of
Miles
high
went.
school, yeah.
Hold on. Let me. I know you. Let me. Kansas City Mac. Motherfuckers been talking about this shit forever. You know, I hate when motherfuckers come in here and act like we ain't been arguing about this shit forever. You know, I don't know if you're a casual or whatever, but we've been arguing this shit. Don't come in here with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? We've been arguing about this shit forever. I don't know where you been. You know what I'm saying? Ever since the goddamn Mayweather Pacquiao days, we've been on this shit for 10 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where the hell you been? Come on, nobody
Not
been
here.
arguing about this shit. You crazy as hell. We've been arguing, going back and forth about all this. Now, people are talking about it's prize fighting. Yeah, it's prize fighting, but is it a sport or is it prize fighting? You know, is there a hierarchy to this shit? Is there an organization to this shit? You know what I'm saying? To where guys got to follow the rules or they don't have to follow the rules. That's what I'm trying to figure out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't mind a guy getting what he get. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind that. But what I'm saying is, do they get to ignore the rules? You know what I'm saying? It's like I give everybody their credit where it's just due, you know. But you got to understand that guys who've been watching this sport for 40 years, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's like, you know, this big event shit that's going on now, and you know, guys don't care for the belts. You know, the belts don't mean shit no more. It's like, man, it ain't even a sport. It's just prize fighting. You know what I'm saying? So I think people just got to make the adjustment. Sometimes it's just prize fighting. Sometimes it's a sport. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm trying not to take this shit so seriously no more. I'm just watching it as entertainment as it should be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And just kind of backing back a little bit and taking it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? So
So
it ain't
so let me
nothing.
ask you
It
this,
ain't.
Pooh. Let me
Mhm.
ask you a question. So with that being said, right, and anybody on the panel can answer this. With that being said, because that was all factual for me, like what you're saying, it's like, all right, we watching events or we watching a sport, right? So when it turned to events, how do we, how are we gonna be able to place these guys with the
It ain't
rest
no
of the
placing.
guys in the history?
It ain't no placing. It's just how everybody feel. It's subjective. You know what I'm saying? It's everything's subjective because we really don't know all them old guys. You know, some
Right,
guys back
right.
in the days that 130 fights. You know what I'm saying? You'll never be able to research all that. You know, some guys probably do, but you know, you got guys. Sugar Ray Robinson had what 120 something fights, shit, something ridiculous like 80 something knockouts. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how would you compare Crawford to somebody like that? You know what I'm saying? You can't. You know, like I said, you would have to do the work. You know, or listen to one of these really old heads that really follow this shit close for close. Um, but I do have a lot of respect for Crawford 'cause I think he's one of the greats from what I saw, because what I saw was incredible.
Yeah, me
People
too.
was people was counting him out to get knocked out in the seventh round, and he went in there and nullified everything. He shut
And
him down.
fought
He
him.
shut Canelo down all the way down.
Yeah, he
And
fought him.
yeah, he really did his thing,
He
man.
fought
So
him.
I give him
I give
credit.
him miscredit, but he fought him just like he fought Errol Spence. And that's why I always said, even with the things that I said about his resume, about his decisions with the networks and everything, I heard all the pushback I got for that, but it seemed like y'all didn't hear what I said before when I said, man, in the ring, it's not nothing nobody could say about him, period. Because if you watched him dismantle that man the other night, and you watched him dismantle EJ the way he did, it's not really nothing you could say. Like even with Usyk, I'm a big Usyk fan, but he dismantled them completely, right? So when you talk about greatness and you talk about coming up from a lighter weight and you talk about not running, like you know what I'm saying? Like you got
Yeah.
stick and move, you got all the man, he stood there and was whooping them boys. And I'm an EJ fan, but he was whooping his ass, man. I'm talking about had him going backwards. He had Canelo going
Yeah.
backwards. So there's his talent is undeniable, bro. That's why I didn't understand why my boy, man, and respect to you, bro. I ain't mean to respect, bro. But
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't want to
respect.
understand what he was saying, what he's saying, because I had already had gave it up to him, bro. It's not really nothing nobody could say about the man's skill set and his will and his desire and the dog in him. No, not at all. It's just I was somebody who was a Crawford fan from the jump. But then when I seen the people he was fighting, then I seen 2018 when I was waiting for him to go jump in the pool. And I understand what you're saying about the money and the guarantee and all of that. But I just was waiting for him to make the move like I seen Mayweather, like I seen Manny and all of these different people do. And he didn't do it. It was discouraging. And then I remember seeing him fight like John Molina or somebody. And I was like, that's it. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But with all that being said, man, that's a bad boy, man. Period.
Yeah. I mean, you
Hey
Yep.
can't
man,
take
That,
real quick,
nothing
that,
from him.
I got to
Go ahead.
ride. I got to ride. But hey man, Paul, let me know when you live, man. You know, man. You know, I miss your lives, my brother. You know,
Oh, no
yeah.
doubt. No doubt. You know
So
they
so
get
let me know.
intense. You know they get
But
intense over here. Mhm.
man, shout out to everybody on the panel, man. Unfortunately, man, you know, Nick got to work in the morning, so it is what it is. And the Cowboys, the Bulldogs, Bud Crawford, and Canelo Alvarez then woke me out this weekend. I had to take a
oh yeah,
nap.
that was a crazy game. Cowboys and
Hey,
Giants.
man, look, the Cowboys and Giants, Georgia and Tennessee, all crazy games, man. My blood pressure done been high this whole weekend. So, uh, hey, shout out to y'all, man. Much love and respect. I'm gonna rock with you again. Let me know when you live, Paul.
Yeah, no doubt. You know how we get down. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? I'm
sir.
back on the scene. I saw you live up there. I'll be sneaking in and listening.
Hey, just hit
You
the
know what I'm
like button. That's
saying?
all I ask for. Like I'm gonna do for you. Hey, but nah,
No
you my
doubt.
brother, and love y'all, man. Y'all take it easy now.
All right,
All
man.
right,
All
Play
right,
a lot
salute.
of
bud.
order.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Crawford
But
say he wanna go. You know, he
go
could go
ahead.
down to 160 if he come back. He talking about fighting at 160. He not going down to 154. So when you look at middleweight division, you got what? You got Carlos Adames. He got a belt with the WBC. I think
And
Janabek
back.
got the IBF and the WBO belt, and the other belt was the WBA belt by Lara. So not a lot of big names, but you know, with Turkey backing him, you know, he can give him enough money to maybe take on maybe. I think Adames already fought with Turkey. He fought Hamza Sharad. That was on the
He,
Riyadh
he
season
didn't look
card. So that
good.
might be a
He
fight
didn't
he
look
probably can
good in
make.
his last. He didn't look too good in his last. He barely got by that bout.
Who? Adamas?
Carlos Adamas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah, that
saying?
was
I
a
was like,
draw. That
damn.
was a draw against Hamza.
Yeah, he didn't look that good, man. I thought he lost that shit. Tell you the truth.
I
Oh,
really
he
don't
got
see
you.
no. I really don't see no situation watching after that last fight. You know, you watch people ride off in the sunset after they fights and stuff like that. But the way he moving, his reaction time in the pocket, his strength and all that, he's not declining at all. That was arguably his best performance because of who he was fighting. So I don't really see no situation where it's like, oh, let me hang it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? If he didn't beat the face of boxing, so at this point now, when he want to sell and he want to make these big fights, he should be able to do it. So who all Turkey and them got to do is build somebody up as a beast that you know what I'm saying, and say he can't beat
Hmm.
him and line their ass up.
Yep, yep, yep.
But but right now at 160, that he's gonna try to see what he's gonna do is try to get an undisputed at 160. Ain't nobody at 160 but a couple of folks, and he's
Yeah,
gonna become a four-time undisputed champion. That's the problem with boxing right now. It's just we don't have the journeyman that we used to have. We don't have the committed uh, talent that we used to have. Guys, no names that you didn't hear that was committed to the sport. He's gonna become a 4-time undisputed champion if he go down to 160, because he ain't nobody there. He ain't nobody there.
I think him and
You know what I'm saying?
Janabek a good fight.
That's what I'm saying. And
Man,
how can we
he'll beat Janabit ass, with all
I
them
think
damn
so.
bumps on his back and shit. You
how
know what I'm
could we
saying?
call how could we say this dude is top 10 greatest of all time? That's like an insult to the sport of boxing to call him right away, oh, top 5, top 10 all time great, when he's basically, you're saying that he's cherry picking these moves that he's doing, moving up and fighting, guys that haven't been fighting good, haven't been looking good. Canelo hasn't been looking good, fighting weak guys. So that's why you can't really skip the line, because then your resume becomes a bit questionable. So I want
Yeah,
to see him
but
fight.
what I'm saying, but look at this, Bob. Um, this victory overshines all that. You see what I'm saying? People don't care about what we talking about because we boxing nerds. You see what I'm saying? You're talking about the nuts and bolts of things. What people see is what he's done. Is he's defeated the great Canelo Alvarez. Nobody care what you're talking about. Not what I'm saying, figuratively. You know what I'm saying? Nobody care about all that. He just beat Canelo Alvarez, bro. You know what I'm
No, I
And you
get
saying?
know
it.
what? To
That's
sum up what you're
that's
saying,
gonna
Paul, I think with it, not I think, but just listening to this whole conversation, the casual fan runs boxing. And
yeah,
all they
yeah,
Yep.
know is he just beat
exactly.
Canelo Alvarez, and that's the end of the story.
I'm trying to
Yeah, that's
tell you.
facts.
It's
Yeah.
the headlines that's taken to the big events, big names, and maybe it's always been that way. Maybe I just cared about the sport too much. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I cared about, how it is. Like, you start learning a new sport, but really, like Jerry was saying up here, boxing is corrupt. You know what I'm saying? Boxing been corrupt. People can buy um rankings and things like this. No matter what, no matter what man create that's pure, that's beautiful, it always becomes corrupt. You know what I'm saying? People can buy their way to the top. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, this is a big mess, man. It's a big mess. You got IBO out there, nobody's in that shit. It's like it's just a lot. You know what I'm
The
saying?
chicken,
But
the chickens hatch, or what to say, the chickens come home to roost though after a while, like they did for Canelo, fighting all these guys, fighting weaker competitions, ducking certain guys, getting jumping, skipping the line,
but
and then look at what happened to him now. He tried to go fight Doug Benavidez and fight Crawford, and look, he got exposed for his lack of boxing, not being the best boxer, using the same punches. He got exposed, and now if Crawford, if he fights another better guy, he could get exposed too.
you finish
Yeah,
your
like I
thought.
said, styles make fights. You just never know. The Majimov style was a little bit tougher for Crawford than the Canelo style, but not to say that Majimov is better than Canelo. It's just about
Right.
styles.
Mhm.
We've seen that with the Ali, Frazier, and Foreman trifecta. Styles make fights.
And you're right about that.
Hey, shout out
You're
to
right.
y'all, Pauls. The good seeing here pulling up on you this naughty, man. I'm gonna jump in the chat, bro.
All right, bro.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Thanks.
Salute.
All right, y'all.
Thanks for stopping through. As is 2 cents as Canelo sold those belts to Turk for 150 mil. Yeah, the money comes into play, man. This money that they are dealing with now. I mean, man, we are dealing with mega money right now, man. I'm like looking at these numbers, and I'm proud of Crawford. So I'm really proud of him because he's one of those underdogs that came from nothing, and now he's dealing with big time money. What I'm saying? Canelo, there's this certain hustlers. You know how hustlers always run into money? They're always able to figure out how to get to the money. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I think Canelo is a hustler. What I'm saying? Crawford just learning how to hustle. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he was a true, I think when he did it the right way, he wasn't getting nowhere. What I'm saying? Now he's learned how to do politics, and he's learning the business of it, and he's learning how to slay the politics of it. Now he got a strong, powerful ally in the Turk, and he's allowing him to jump spaces and stuff. What I'm saying? And it's all about just who um, today, who's behind you, You know what I'm saying? Who can help you, who can help you promote your career. And I'm glad, I'm happy for Crawford. You know what I'm saying? He's found that because there's so many fighters that we don't know the name of that's fell through the cracks over the years that probably had a lot of talent who probably got broken and ended up with nothing. You know what I'm saying? In the gutters of the slums and stuff back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You know what I'm saying? We don't even know their name. They probably was hella good. Aaron Pryor ended up in the gutter. You know what I'm saying? Just to name one of the guys that really didn't make it, but had all the talent in the world to compete with Sugar Ray Leonard and all these other guys. He should have been in the same class with them. Um, you know, it's just wow. It's just a lot, bro. But I'm happy for Crawford. I really support him from the bottom of my heart, man. You know, what I'm saying ain't no hate. It's just that we just got to get away from what we thought boxing used to be. It's a new day. Or
Mhm.
it's just a new day for certain fighters. You know what I'm saying? Some fighters has got that glow. They the chosen one. Everybody thought Errol Smith Jr. was the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? But in boxing, things change super fast. You get your ass whipped one day, you got to start over. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people give Crawford so much praise because it's almost like crabs in a barrel. You know what I'm saying? If you expose yourself to challengers, the more you open yourself up to starting over. And one would have to argue that it's kind of smarter to not fight as many people, just to limit yourself like a Teofimo Lopez is doing. Don't open yourself up to people more talented than you. Because if you once you get that number one headband, everybody's coming for your ass, and somebody is probably just a little bit better than you. So the question would be is why not try to go as far as you can without getting knocked off the mountaintop, right? I know that's kind of fucked up, but that's what it's looking like. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's
Yep.
looking like. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
the fight smarter, not harder.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, I'm just trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying if it's right or wrong now, because you know, like y'all said, it's prize fighting. And these guys are out here risking their health. So who am I to say, what I'm saying, how do you need to do your career? Because I'm just buying pay-per-views for entertainment. So, but I don't know what it is. I guess, when you fall in love with a sport, you just feel like, it's a little bit more to it, but actually it ain't. Actually it ain't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you think you know Randy Moss, you think you know all your sports heroes and you're behind them, but all it is a ticket for Sunday, bro. That's all it is, or a ticket for Saturday. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's nothing more to it. That's sad. It feels like it's more spiritual, but it's just what can you do for me lately?
Yeah.
Type shit. That's sad,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's some
Yeah.
sad shit. Because if somebody get paralyzed tomorrow and they can't entertain you, what the hell you gonna do? Are you gonna spend $5 a week? You know what I'm saying? Till they pay for it? You know what I'm saying? Hell no. It says nobody
Yep.
said Bud didn't win. Get the hell out of your fit. Yeah, you know what? Boxing, the crazy thing and the thing I love about boxing is that it's just so passionate. People get passionate about these fights and the fighters, you know what I'm saying? People just get so passionate. Right now they're having a hissy fit on the Canelo side. Right now, they in denial right now. They can't believe Bud went out there and whipped his ass. They even denying the ass whipping. They're trying to say that Canelo got a draw or even won more rounds than he won. I was just like, that's fascinating to me. I said, you saw that man get his ass whipped just like me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, I can't.
I seen.
Y'all go. Anybody subscribe to BDA? You know what I'm saying? That dude there, bro, he's articulate. He has a big channel and everything, but I'd be like listening to that dude. I'd be like, bro, y'all motherfuckers, man. I was like, y'all don't keep it real for shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes if you could be a fake, just go with the fake narrative. You know what I'm saying? I could be a bigger channel if I wanted to be, but I really ain't got time for to be on some
Yeah.
bullshit. You know.
Yeah, like you
And
say, some
in
people try
some
to say the
countries
fight was
though,
closer than what it was.
like in
That's
Puerto Rico, if you fight in Puerto Rico, and they have their champ, right? You gotta knock their champ out though. Even if you win the fight in a decision, you'll get robbed. So sometimes you do gotta maybe put a little bit more effort, or we want to see blood. We want to see, we want to see as boxing. We've seen a lot of glorified sparring matches in these big fights. PBC put in a lot of fights like that where we get two fighters, Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia, and these guys just go out there and put out a glorified sparring match.
that
We
was a
not
good fight. What you talking about, Thurman and Garcia? That was a good fight.
did you see we see any blood? Did we see any swollen? Any?
But,
No, we're
them were
not.
two high level fighters though. They was high level, the best,
That's what I'm
two
telling you.
champions at 147. It wasn't Gotti Ward. No, it wasn't that. But
We're
those
not.
two guys are on a higher skill level than those two.
We're
As
seeing
far as skill level.
tactical matches. We're not seeing like before it was
Yeah.
tactical boxing, but the fights heated up, and then at some point, man, these guys went all out. Well, went all in. We're not seeing these type of fights anymore, and it's losing. We don't want to see that boxing. We want to see blood. That's at the end of the day, we want to see a good fight. These are the fights that got you into boxing as a kid. Me watching it at 12 years old, I got into boxing watching those type of fights where I would see swollen, blood, wars. I'm not seeing that no more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
what you want to see. It's you know what you like, what you want to see. So it's up to you. I like the sweet science. I like the wars. I like the phone booth fights too, the fan friendly fights too. But I like all different styles. I can appreciate all of them. So you got some fans like yourself that like to they want to see toe to toe, rock 'em, sock 'em, robot type of fight. It ain't
No,
nothing
I
wrong
don't
with
want to
that.
see a
Those are
brawl.
type of
Like I
fights.
didn't I didn't like the what is it called? Mbile and Lester Martinez fight. I didn't like that. I didn't like that
Oh, you
fight.
didn't like that? I like that fight. That was a good fight.
Them dudes look
I
like
like that fight.
bodybuilders.
Yeah, they were laying some bombs, boy. They were laying some bombs. And Billy, he got a hell of a chin because he ate so many uppercuts throughout that fight. He kept coming, catching them with them hooks, hitting them with them hard right hands. That was the fight of the year candidate right there, actually. It ended up a draw. I thought Martinez won because he landed, to me, the more cleaner, effective punches, and he was consistent in landing the uppercut. But it was a fight that you couldn't really argue a draw, or if you'd have had it M. Billy 7-5 or Martinez 7-5. You couldn't really argue it either way. It was one of those close, tough fights. They had a lot of swing rounds. So that might have been the best fight of the night if you just talking about action pack. That might have been that one and the board check Adams fight, probably were the two best as far as like action.
Hey, y'all. I got to get up out of here. My damn thing about to shut down because I ain't even plug it up right. The battery about to go out. So, of course, we'll come back tomorrow and, we'll chop it up some more. It's just like my computer about to go out. So, um, this was a good little session, man. You know what I'm saying? Full kind of boxing is back in effect. JB, y'all know JB Sports. Check out his channel. 444 up in the building.
Mm-hmm.
We have some Bobby Smurda. I've seen you before. You've been on my channel before. I've seen you.
Okay.
But we'll be back tomorrow. Might be back in the morning. I don't know. And I'll put out the the post, and we'll come back and chalk it up. Talk some serious boxing, man. What's going on? And but this has been full kind of boxing. Let me see you guys tomorrow, man. You know what I'm saying? And peace out, everybody. You know what I'm saying?
So
All right, now.
Peace.
Peace.